Morning, Guillermo.
Good morning.
Morning. Yeah, I bet, Guillermo. I bet.
Yeah. Good morning, Paul, Guillermo, Arch. AJC. Morning. Poor guy doesn't need a full camp. Thank you, Benny. You too. Except for the show. You got a show?
Here we go.
Exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this final Friday of July. It is, dare we say it, a football Friday.
Football Friday?
Could be. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope you've had a great week. Let's finish it strong together, shall we? Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, David. I am good. Ready for the weekend? You know, this new phenomenon in my house has happened in the last few months. My wife is working one day less, so she is home Thursdays and Fridays. She used to just have Friday off. Now she has Thursday and Friday off. And between the daughter not having school and the wife being home 2 days a week, I need school to start, David.
A little too much estrogen in your life? Is that what you're saying?
Too many orders. They have just, I'm Mr. Mom and I'm comfortable with that. But today they're out frolicking. They got a big day planned. They're doing something in Sarasota. And I get the, hey, do you think you'd pick this up for me today? Hey, you think you can do this for me today? You're off. You're working less than I am now. How about you pitch in a little bit?
And of course, you kept that all on the inside.
I didn't say any of it. But I walked out of the house going, what in the hell? I'm up at 4:00 in the morning. You're telling me to run errands?
I don't mind running the errands. Here's my thing. I only want to do this once today. So get it all together. Think about everything you may need, you think you need, you definitely need, you should need. Get it all together. Give me a list. Text it to me. Something. Piece of paper even. I got no problems going up and down the aisles, crossing things off on a piece of paper, looking like it's 1977. I'm fine. But I'm leaving the house once. That's kind of my rule.
Well, they expect the house. Me running errands. It's one or the other, David. You can go all you want, but I've got things to do.
I'll even, if I'm given a list and what have you, I will text the people who put things on the list, and I will say, I'm about ready to leave the store. You have 2 to 3 minutes to think of anything else. Otherwise, you're out of luck.
That's really kind to give him that 2 to 3 minute warning, because that's important. There's many times I've sent the text or received the text while on the drive home saying, you're SOL. Don't know what to tell you.
No doubt about it. No. If I leave the parking lot, you're toast. I totally understand. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Mark, by now, there's a few things I get pretty geeked up about. A draft, okay, a sports draft. I'm not as big a fan of the military draft, having someone who, there was a time in our lives in which that looked as if it might be an option. My mother looked at me one day early in Reagan's presidency and said, just so you know, we're going to Canada. I said, I thought I have to go to school. She goes, well, when you come home, we may be packing and going to Canada. I went, oh, okay. Should I tell my friends? No, let's keep that between us.
And you are more of a fan of a draft beer than a can or bottled beer.
Very much so. Thank you. Yes, I am all in on drafts.
Yes.
And man, do I love a trade deadline. And the Marlins with a significant deal right before midnight last night. There you go. All right. Probably the second best reliever that's going to be made available. That's only if the Padres make Josh Hader available. David Robertson, not a big name. He's been terrific for 3 years now in the back end of a bullpen. He's in his late 30s. He still throws hard. He's a righty who can get lefties out because his best pitch tails down and away from lefties. And he's faced many a pressure situation. He can handle 7th, 8th, or 9th inning work. And the Marlins pick him up for 2, apparently, pretty darn good young prospects. But by young, we mean teenagers. They're 3, 4, 5 years away from the majors. I mean, hell, Kim Ang doesn't even have a contract for November. What does she care? So
now go get a bat, Kim.
Yes.
No offense. I like the move. Great move. Go get a bat. You need a bat.
Need a third baseman. That's what you need. The guy at the Nats there would be a good bat. Only makes about $5 million. You have to pay him about $1 million or so for the rest of the year. Come on, you guys can afford that. Let's do this. So the Marlins making a deal. All right, now we're talking. Trying to give some good news in the South Florida sports scene because, oh, man. Don't the Dolphins know this is the year in South Florida sports? FAU, Miami Hurricanes basketball, the Heat, the Panthers. Didn't they get the memo? The Marlins very much in playoff contention heading into August. Seriously? What's this Jalen Ramsey getting hurt stuff? What the heck? This isn't supposed to happen. Come on now. They had the best corner tandem in the league. With Vic sending all sorts of exotic blitz packages at quarterbacks, that's how they're going to create turnovers. That's how they're going to win games. What the heck?
6 weeks. He'll barely miss a game.
Okay. That depends on who you talk to. I guess it depends on whether or not the meniscus is just damaged, at which point 6 to 8 weeks. But if it's completely torn, it's 4+ months. And apparently they don't know until they go in. So, it could just be a minor inconvenience. And it could be see you in December. But it's not a good omen, man. It's not even August. Mark, what's the only thing that counts between now and opening day?
Injuries, David. Injuries.
Thank you.
And they bite the Miami Dolphins first. Literally, the first injury report I get on my phone is Ramsey. And
then within an hour, Joe Burrow's being carted off the field in Ohio, and he didn't get touched either. It's like, oh, come on now. Apparently, it's just a strained calf. He already had some kind of sleeve on it anyway. It must have been bothering him.
He just doesn't like training camp.
I don't blame him. Besides, this is the only chance to give the backup some work. It's not like they're getting in the games. So what the heck? By the way, isn't it always a non-contact drill when it involves Joe Burrow? I mean, are you really allowed to touch Joe Burrow? Don't you have to ask permission and shake his hand if you're a Cincinnati Bengal? Don't you just stick out the fist bump and see whether or not he's going to bump you back or actually extend his hand? And then you go, well, I think that gives me permission to shake his hand. So we'll talk to Mo Egger. He's the sports guy in Cincinnati. Afternoon drives, ESPN radio. Got the Reds a game and a half out of first. And you got Joe Burrow being carted off the field. It's another fan base that thought life was grand, right? Cincinnati's going to the Big 12. The Reds are contending. The Bengals right up there to go to the Super Bowl. And then, boom, all comes crashing down in a moment. Man, sports can be hard.
Cruel. It's not hard. Just downright cruel, David, is to me the better word. Because life's hard. There are a lot of things that are hard. Sports can be just downright cruel.
Whew. Man, just mess with your emotions. Leads you to go outside in the pouring rain and scream up into the heavens. What are you frustrated about? Your wife? Your teenage child? What's going on? Now the Bengals! Oh, okay. Well, I understand. Whew. Hey, I have a very simple question for you. It's pretty early in the morning for a simple question. I don't even think it's deep. I try not to go deep this early. I try to give you until after the starting five to throw something with some depth at you. Our offer for Ohtani is 9 years, $500 million. Is that enough?
No.
Damn.
Because this is unbelievable.
He did all this.
Pitches a complete game, of which we've had, 8 this year?
A one-hitter.
One-hit complete game.
Yep. 111 pitches, by the way. Hey, they actually let a guy throw some pitches. How about that? And imagine that. He still kept getting them out.
When the Angels go up 5-0 in the 7th, they hit a 2-run homer to take it from 3-0 to 5-0. The Detroit announcer says, "Oh, they don't need any more runs." And he wasn't being flippant. He wasn't saying Detroit's going to come back. And the play-by-play guy, the color guy, I don't know who it was. It's a former pitcher, though. And the play-by-play guy says, "Well, you were a pitcher." He goes, "Yeah, but I pitched in Detroit. This guy doesn't need any more runs." And then he comes back and goes yard twice.
Yeah, in the nightcap. Right. So in 6 hours to review, he threw a one-hitter and he hit 2 home runs. If Ohtani had played the Tigers by himself yesterday, I think he wins.
Twice. Twice.
For the record, 9 for 500 is $55.5 million a year. Now, it's not Jaylen Brown money, mind you.
But what is?
Right. Could you imagine if his agent looks at Artie Moreno and everybody else in free agency and says, well, we're not taking less a year than Jaylen Brown? And have them go, who? What position does he play? Small forward? What? I thought was he a pitcher, a DH? No, small forward in Boston. He's with the Red Sox? No, but he's making 61.
It's astonishing. It is worth watching every single time the guy plays. Absolutely amazing. Sports delivering again. Miller and Moulton right here, Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sport.
What's going on over there, Felipe?
So they still have last Friday's best of uploaded. So I'm trying to
What?
like they still have last Friday's best of uploaded. So I'm trying to work my way around that.
I'd be calling Chris if it keeps going on.
Here's the problem is, do you have to call the other guy?
I don't know. We don't have his number.
I can just work my way around it.
Well, no. But I'm just saying, I think the other guy's now in charge.
No, well.
Apparently the other guy called Marty.
To say what? He's in charge?
Yeah, basically, hey, new PD of 770.
Well, Chris did have a lot on his plate.
No doubt about it. DC, I know who Corey Stringer was. I covered Corey. I had lunch with Corey at training camp in Mankato one day early in his career. Really nice, big young man. Is today the anniversary of Corey? Yeah, really, really good dude. Gentle for such a big tackle. Nice guy. Tragic. It was early in camp. I know that. I was still doing TV, so had to be early 2000s.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Magic numbers 29. 4 weeks tomorrow. Week 0 kicks off the college football season with 9 games, including Notre Dame and USC, both in action. If that's not enough for you, 34, 5 weeks from yesterday. Week 1 gets underway in earnest with that Thursday night before Labor Day weekend, Gators and UCF amongst the teams in action. And for that matter, hell, it's only 41 days to the NFL kicks things off with the Lions and Chiefs 6 weeks from last night. So we are doing this, ladies and gentlemen. We are doing this. All right, Colorado's doing it also, Mark. They're gone. See ya. Headed back to the Big 12. One more year in the Pac-12. So UCLA, USC, Colorado, all lame ducks in the Pac-12. For one more day, anyway, the Pac-12 able to keep it together. Emergency meeting, and we're gonna have a media deal, and then we're gonna expand. Yeah, just stay with me through the weekend. And the rest of the members are like, yeah, right. You're calling the other guys, right? They know we're interested? Okay, yeah, absolutely, right.
In fact, David, I think they hit the mute button on their phone and went, yeah, right. Big 12, yeah. How you doing? This is Oregon. ACC, this is Washington.
Hello.
Would you like to merge? What can we do?
And when the ACC goes, you do know we're the Atlantic Coast Conference. And you're like, yeah, we're the Pacific Coast. That's okay. It's all right. We can work this out. Logistics, not a problem, really. We'll come to you for practically everything. How's that sound?
Come on. Wake Forest, Oregon State. Sounds like a hell of a rivalry.
Yeah. Volleyball, 7:00 Tuesday night. So, did you hear the ACC yesterday said, oh, no, we're open to expansion. We just haven't found the right partners yet. Did they not listen to our show like 2 months ago? We told them what to do. It's not hard. We actually think it would work. Give Notre Dame their money. They're looking for 70, 75 million. We said, hell, we'll give you 100. First 100 million of our TV deal goes to you. If our TV deal's only worth 100 million, you get all of it. But you got to join the conference for everything. Not just everything, but football. No. Got to take the butt away. Okay. You want your money. We'll give you your money. In fact, we'll make it that no school gets more money from a TV deal. It's real simple, because then we can go back to ESPN or even potentially bring in other networks, because Notre Dame opens up the contract, which right now is locked into place till 2036. I mean, basically what the ACC needs to do with Notre Dame is do what Saudi Arabia tried to do with Mbappe. Seriously. You just throw so much money at him to get him to think about doing something he'd never do.
Because they've obviously told you they're never joining for football, but you've never made them the Godfather offer.
No. Isn't this the obvious play? First off, right now, ESPN, give or take 10 million. It's around 240 or so million that ESPN sends to the ACC to divvy out amongst their schools. And I think that's why the schools get on average of like $17 million from their media deal that comes directly from ESPN. Well, if Notre Dame joins a conference, I mean, value goes up. You tear the deal up. More money, shorten the deal. Hell, you even look at ESPN, you get to say, if we're tearing this deal up, we get to open it up for bidding and bring in other partners. And ESPN's so cash poor right now, they'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. We get right of first refusal. Yeah, sure, we can do that. I mean, never mind, Mark. You'd bring in NBC and Peacock. But I mean, come on. If you're the ACC, isn't this the answer?
It's seemingly the only answer. Outside of a colossal merger with the Pac-12 that sounds actually absolutely horrific in every theory possible.
Well, not only that, you got 14 schools in the ACC. How many you got in the Pac-12? Next year, you got 9. So, I mean, it's not even like you're merging even numbers here.
No, it's more like a hostile takeover.
Right.
Of schools that no one really wants, with the exception of Oregon and Washington.
I mean, if the two conferences were to merge, do you just respell PAC, PACC? Sorry about that. I apologize. That was very inappropriate and unnecessary, and my bad.
I'd like to just leave it the ACC so we could have Washington playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
And by Washington, you don't mean DC, correct?
No, I don't. I mean UW, as they call them in that part of the world.
There you go. So Colorado's joining the Big 12, which makes it now another conference that's going to have more or less members than the number in their name, because now they'll be at 13. See, the Big 12's been charming in recent years because they've actually only had 10. Okay, now this year, they have 14. Next year, they'll have 13 for now. Figure somebody's got to join them. So, Mark, here's the word. The word is they're either going to take in 1 or 3 to go to 14 or 16. The thought is, if they take in 1, that it will not be a Power 5 school, that it will be a group of 5, whether it's a UConn, whether it's a Memphis, whether it's a San Diego State, somebody like that. Maybe an SMU, although some of the, you got a few schools in Texas who aren't necessarily thrilled about, really, another Texas school, particularly TCU. Like, seriously? SMU's like down the street. Seriously? So that's the thought. Or the pretty simple thought is, we'll take the 2 Arizonas and Utah. We'll go to 16. We'll call it a day.
I'd take the 1 and hold. But I don't think they're talking like we are about invading the ACC. But to me, to get more money, you need bigger profile schools. And I don't think anybody on that list is going to get networks excited to cough up a bunch more money.
Of the three, by the way, if we're right, and they're going to take a group of 5, if you will, school, UConn, Memphis, San Diego State, who you taking?
UConn. I loved your theory yesterday. They are a great basketball conference. UConn is a great basketball program. The exposure they would get in the Northeast for a lot of their schools that don't normally get exposure would be there. And I think would be a good move for them.
Now, I'm still in favor of the ACC raid. I'm still in favor of calling those schools up that were talking about leaving a couple months ago and saying, listen, you all got a home here in the Big 12. I'll go to 24. I'll take the 2 Arizonas and Utah. I'll take UConn, and I'll take like 6, 7 of you from the ACC, honestly. Carolina and Virginia can go to the Big 10. SEC can stay at 16. I divvied them up into divisions and conferences right here, Mark. You know I did.
I know.
You would not. I got circles and arrows and lines like crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do you have that guy's phone number?
Say again?
Do you have the new program director's phone number?
No, I just have his email.
I'd email him. Make your life a lot easier this morning.
There's nothing he can do right now.
I understand.
Hey, Ken, he can get into the computer from his house and delete all of that. They all have access remotely.
They do?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They should. They should. The program director before Chris Beasley did, and that was, and he hasn't had that job for 7.5 years.
Or he comes in and fixes it. Comes in early and fixes it. This is his job. You know, I really figured today was going to be National Hamburger Day, considering the hamburger was created today in 1900.
But it's not?
No. It's a bunch of insignificant days. Nothing that was even fun enough for a poll question for me.
Well, don't you have to consider the creation of the hamburger? I mean, the Civil War probably goes down as the biggest event of the 19th century, but I mean, it's got to be top 3.
I don't know when Hamburger Day is, DC. Probably check really quickly.
So apparently it's Jake's birthday in the Twitch chat room. So happy birthday.
May 28th is National Hamburger Day.
Instead of July 28th. What the heck? Hey, Coffin Ball, can you do us a favor? There are reports that Disney's not nearly as crowded as it's been. So on Monday, just send us a little note and let us know.
You planning on going soon?
No, just curious whether or not the reports are true. So?
Thought maybe you were taking the granddaughter.
It's not even 2. Mark, I'm hemorrhaging money right now. I don't know if I'd take them to get a burger.
It's so expensive to go to Disney World. And for what? To stand there time for hours in the beating sun.
Listen, for as much money as it costs, you might as well pay the extra nearly $100 and go. Just don't stand in any lines.
Fast pass.
You might as well just do it.
So an extra $100 on the fast pass.
It's so worth it. That's the best $100 you could spend there.
It's just so much money.
Mm-hmm.
For such a subpar experience.
That's because you're no longer 8.
I didn't even enjoy it when I was young.
Well, that's a you problem.
Yeah, I know. I hope my kid feels the same way, so I don't have to take his blankety blanket.
I'm already done with all that. She wins. She doesn't even like it anymore, and I'm happy.
Thank God.
Yes! It's another win in the books for Mark Miller. Yep.
And she won't remember much of any of it, Ryan. That's the funny part.
Yep. But you will. You'll remember all the waiting, all the money, all the time and sweat. Yep. Really is fun as you get older.
Here on Pricks Are Us. No, DC. My daughter's more of a tomboy than she is a prince.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's a Football Friday.
Football Friday.
If for no other reason than both our guests will be talking football in the 8 o'clock hour, Mo Egger and Chris Perkins. It's because there's a lot of football news yesterday. Hardly any of it good. Which brings us to
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
We said it earlier in the show. It bears repeating. Mark, what is the only thing that counts between now and opening day?
Injuries, David. Injuries.
Thank you, Mark. We had 2 significant ones and 3 noteworthy ones. Dolphins cornerback Jalen Ramsey injured the meniscus in his left knee. Got tangled up with Tyreek Hill. Now there are conflicting reports as to how long he's going to be out. If the meniscus just needs to be, shaved, just made to be a little bit stronger than it is now, 6 to 8 weeks. Season doesn't start for 6 weeks. So he misses a couple games. It's all right. But there are reports that if you completely tear your meniscus, that's a 4+ month rehab. That means Jalen Ramsey will be out till December. And those who know this sort of thing say you really don't know until you go into the knee and you take a look. So if you're a Dolphin fan, the ACL is completely intact. That's the good news. You need one more piece of good news. You need to hope this is a 6 to 8 weeker, not a 4 to 5 monther. Joe Burrow, meanwhile, frightening moment caught on many a camera, scrambling out of the pocket in Bengals practice, ends up down on the ground untouched because something in his right calf, really bothered him. It's not an Achilles injury. That's the first thing you thought of when you saw it. It is being described right now as a strained right calf. He was carted off the practice field, though. And,
he'd be in bubble wrap if I were running that organization.
They say he's fine. We don't know if he'll ever practice again. And we don't just mean in 2023. We mean forever. Wonder if this speeds up his contract negotiations at all. Just curious. Garrett Wilson, by the way, the outstanding young Jets wide receiver, he injured an ankle. He limped off the practice field, not to return. Hope that's okay. Dalvin Cook, by the way, meeting with the Jets today. Report last night says the Jets are not going to let him out of the building without a contract. So, looks as if Dolphins could be losing him to the Jets. Thanks to Aaron Rodgers giving all that money back. So we'll see. Other football news, although it involves more sports than football, but we know why they're doing it for football. Colorado officially leaves the Pac-12 for the Big 12 yesterday. They'll do so in a year. So final year for Colorado, USC, and UCLA in the Pac-12 this year. The Big 12, by the way, reportedly going to add 1 to 3 more schools because Colorado will make 13 for next year. So they'll either go to 14 or 16. Thoughts are if they take 1, it'll be a group of 5 school, like a UConn, a Memphis, or a San Diego State. If it's Power 5, they'll just grab 3 more Pac-12 schools. Although it will be interesting if Washington and Oregon decide they want to join. Then what do you do? ACC, by the way, says they're, quote, absolutely, unquote, open to expansion. They just haven't found the right schools, is what they've said. I don't know. I don't think they're looking hard enough.
South Bend, Indiana.
You know what, Mark? That would be a nice one-way ticket if you were Jim Phillips and you're running the ACC. By the way, if you're Jim Phillips, since this Northwestern story might take you down, why don't you want your legacy to not be your time at Northwestern? How about if you're the one that brings Notre Dame into a conference and it was your conference? You'll get a $20, $30 million package to go retire, and life will be good. Anyway, Major League Baseball. Has anybody heard of this guy from the Angels named Shohei Ohtani? He's really good. Here's how good he is. They played 2 games yesterday, and in the first game, he said, I'll pitch. I went, okay. And he threw a 1-hit shutout, struck out 8. Wow. It's a hell of a day's work. It's a day's work. Just getting started. Mark, what are those hot dogs in Detroit?
You got Lafayette, Coney Island. You got American Coney Island. They're delicious.
He said, tell you what, line me up a couple of Conies during the 30, 40 minutes in between games. And how about if I DH and say bat third? Okay, can we get him a couple conies? Yeah, we can do that. I mean, basically they found a runner. It's kind of like Vern Lundquist and his hot dogs at halftime. They turned to some person and said, listen, we'll pay you $150. Go out and get 2 conies. No ketchup. You're fired. And then he hit 2 home runs in the nightcap. He's got 38 on the year. He's hitting 298. He's got 80 RBIs. So to review, he's the number 1 starter. He's hitting 298 with 38 homers and 80 RBIs. We're not in August.
Oh, just for what it's worth, he leads the league in triples too.
And he's a free agent in 9 weeks. That's all. We have a standing offer of 9 for $500. We'll see if anybody beats it. That's $55.5 million a year. We thought before yesterday it was pretty good.
But we're thinking we might have to add another year and go 10 for $550 just to be sure.
Maybe even $560. I don't know. The Cubs have won 6 in a row. We can legitimately talk about them because now they're 500. They also have the second best run differential in the National League. It's the damnedest thing. They beat St. Louis 10-3. Did you hear how this game started?
Talking about Happ getting hit and hitting the catcher with the bat.
Right. Third batter of the game, 2 out, nobody on. Ian Happ for the Cubs, and he, back of the box, the extended swing, and he hits their catcher, I think it's Contreras, right in the head and bloodies him. And he's got to come out of the game. This isn't like basketball or hockey or football where they bring you out and they patch you up and they put you back in. No. If you can't catch the next pitch, you're done. So the Cardinals lose their catcher. And, it was by accident, but.
And it was because Happ and Contreras give a little hug. I mean, it was.
Right. But the pitcher, and this is very Cardinals, if you followed the Cardinals at all, the Cardinals don't take a step backwards. The Cardinals are a double down organization. You do one thing to us, we do 2 things to you. So the count was 2-0 or 2-1. I'm sorry. Miles Mikolas, the pitcher, comes up and in with a fastball, a little chin music. Okay. And it was done very professionally. It was. And Happ handled it professionally. And then Mikolas just decided, you know what? I got to hit you. And it's not even his fastball.
No, he threw a batting practice.
Thank you.
That's what it was. It was a batting practice pitch.
At his butt cheek.
It was a straight ball at his butt.
Right, at his butt cheek. And he hits it, and Happ kind of like, okay, I get it. And he throws his bat, and he's going to go to first. 2 outs, 1 on, that type of deal. Umpires get together, and they go, well, he intentionally did that. We got to throw him out. And so they threw him out of the game. 2/3 of an inning. Could be his last start as a Cardinal. 10-3 Cubs. They're 5.5 back in the division. They're 4 back for the wild card. You selling if you're the Cubs?
You can't.
You won 6 in a row. Guardians beat the White Sox 6-3. They've won 3 in a row. They're a game and a half back of the Twins. Josh Naylor with 3 RBIs. The Mets scored 2 in the 8th. They scored 1 before the rain delay. Then an hour and 37 minutes later, they hit a sac fly. They beat Washington 2-1. During the rain delay, they traded David Robertson to the Marlins for 2 rookie league prospects. They're considered actually pretty highly thought of prospects. Of course, they won't make the majors till 2026 at the earliest. But one's a catcher and one's an infielder. So, I mean, for right now, this trade's a big win for the Marlins. 5-6 years from now, who knows? This could be like Doyle Alexander for a minor league pitcher named John Smoltz. Alexander goes 11 starts, 9-0 for the Tigers. This is the greatest trade in Detroit Tigers history. That's funny because 20 years later, it's one of the 3 worst trades in Detroit Tigers history. Who knows? By the way, Bronny James released from Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles yesterday. He's resting at home. The 18-year-old has not said anything. LeBron spoke on his son's behalf, releasing a statement thanking fans for their support and everyone involved at USC for their quick action. He said not going to talk about his condition and prognosis right now. Give us some time. We'll talk about it a little bit later. By the way, the Hawks and the Magic are going to play an NBA regular season game in Mexico City on November 9th. Ottawa signed Vladimir Tarasenko. It's a pretty good deal. 1 year, $5 million. For a guy who, if teams had money, would probably get about $8-9 million a year. Golf, Mark, we got a lot going on. 3M Open on the PGA Tour. It's a hell of a field. And by hell of a field, there's like 6 guys you recognize. Lee Hodges is your leader at 8 under.
Oh, Lee Hodges.
Right.
There's a household name for you.
Yeah, it sure is. Not even in the Hodges household.
No.
Four guys are one shot back. You've heard of one of them, Hideki Matsuyama. LPGA, they're playing a major in Europe. It's the Evian. Paula Rito has a 2-shot lead at 7 under over 4 golfers. One of the 4, Lydia Ko. Senior Open, that's a major on the Champions Tour. Miguel Angel Jimenez is your leader by 2. Did you see one of the guys who's 3 shots back? Vijay Singh. I know it's an old guy's tour, but, you know, he's not a contender much on that tour. So he's in the mix to win a major, the Senior Open across the pond. And at 9 minutes before the hour, gentlemen, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go. Little this, little that. Traded during a rain delay. He was warming up in the bullpen in the bottom of the 8th when the Mets were getting a little something going. He's going to come into the game in the 9th if the Mets take the lead. All of a sudden, 97 minutes later, you look up, there's a different guy warming up in the bullpen. Why is that? David, we need to talk. Yeah, you've been traded to the Marlins.
That's got to be one of those trades, too, that's deflating for the whole Mets clubhouse, because that's the first sign that says,
yeah, we're done.
The organization's given up.
Right. I will say this. The players, after the game, they said, hey, this is on us. Okay, you know, it's on us.
Well, thank you for that, players.
Well, but I mean, at least they said, you know,
Well,
they didn't
blame Cohen.
Well, no, not the guy who writes the checks.
Like the GM for signing all the players. I mean, who's there? There's only one group to blame here. It is the players.
I understand that, but at least they said, hey, you know, that this season's on us, and they gave us 100 games. You know, they gave us like 15 or so games after the All-Star break. You know, we haven't done anything then either. So, hell, the Mets still have 2 more relievers. They got an outfielder. I mean, listen, if you need parts, call the Mets. They're open for business. White Sox, Mets, give them a holler.
The White Sox, I don't know how much business they have left to do, because just outside of Lynn, because they're dealing everything.
So, but it's interesting that the Marlins get David Robertson, the guy who was thought of to be the second best reliever that might come open on the market. Josh Hader of the Padres being the best.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. We'll talk some football in the 8 o'clock hour. Mo Egger, Chris Perkins, coming up right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, Wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So, yeah, RCB, you want Pete Alonso. Here's the thing. You get him for this year and next, and then he's a free agent. Are you guys going to pay the piper to keep him? Plus, you actually have a first baseman right now who's performing. So you're going to give up what you need for a DH? Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, you guys need a bat. I think you need a left-handed bat, ideally. We did see the pics of your Coney dog. Nice. Apparently it was you and like 1,100 of your closest friends, it looked like, for the one hitter.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Friday of July. And, well, we think it's at least, well, part way, a little bit more than that way of a football Friday.
Football Friday.
There you go. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. If for no other reason than the magic numbers are getting so small. We have one in the 20s. Week 0 of the college football season, 29 days away. Week 1 of the college football season, 34 days away. Week 1 of the NFL season, in the 40s, 41 days away. So there you go. Got it going on. Got you covered. A lot of football news. Injuries yesterday. Colorado makes it official. No one else publicly or otherwise saying that they're wanting to leave their respective conference, but you know the phones are burning up. Mark, I think the Pac-12 has till like Monday. I really do. I'm not kidding. I'm going to be serious for a second. I think the conference has about 72 hours.
Well, they don't have their new media deal, or at least they've not announced it yet.
Right. Well,
which all would lead you to believe they don't have a media deal.
Correct. I mean, because otherwise they would have given it to their members. I mean, Colorado said, listen, we waited. We gave them all the time they needed to come up with a media deal. We waited. And last Friday it was put up or shut up time. They said, we got nothing. We said, well, okay, we're out of here.
I think as much as we've talked about the 2 Arizona schools in Utah, and they're the obvious choices for the Big 12 if it happens, I think this all rides on Oregon and Washington. Because if Oregon and Washington believe they're going to get to the Big 10, they may be able to hold on and keep the Pac-12 together long enough for their departure to the Big 10. If they think that the Big 10 is a pipe dream, then they may be gone more quickly. Because Oregon's the most attractive school of what's left, in my opinion.
I would agree with that just because of Phil Knight's money. I mean, and they, of the schools that remain in the conference, they have drawn more eyeballs to their games than all the other schools. They have. People are somewhat intrigued by that school, their colors, their uniforms. You know, they've had some success, played for a couple national titles, blah, blah, blah.
Top 10 mascot in the country. People know the duck.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I mean, hell, up until the last few years, that's what a lot of people knew Georgia for. Man, they got that cute dog. Now it's like they got that ferocious defense and that cute dog.
And I think they have to, by law, say it like that. You can't just say cute dog. Cute dog. No, you got to stretch it out when you're talking Georgia.
Totally. Is it more W's and A's there? I think it's like 2 A's, 3 W's. Dog. But going to get serious here. If I'm the Pac-12, I got to come up with a deal like today, tomorrow at the latest. Emergency meeting over the weekend and say, here's our deal. Also, if I'm Oregon and Washington, I'm all over Tony Petitti. I'm wearing him out. I'm like, listen, we understand we can't get there before 2026, but we're willing to put up with 3 years of awkwardness here. But are you taking us, yes or no? Well, I don't know. I just got done with media days. I was planning on a long weekend. Yeah, I don't care. Get on the phone. We need an answer. Okay. We have to make a decision. We got like 4 weeks tops. We have to make an announcement before we kick off. You got it? When we may have to even do it sooner than that.
All right. As far as Washington and Oregon go, do any of the networks that the Big Ten just took all of that money from renegotiate a contract because of Oregon and Washington? As a network, I wouldn't.
Well, this is maybe the first phone call Tony Petitti makes. He calls Fox. Because Fox is the determiner here. You know, they own over half the Big Ten network. Fox sat next to the powers that be at the Big Ten and negotiated the TV deals with CBS and NBC. Fox is going to largely determine the games that CBS and NBC get for the next 7 years. Although the Big Ten did take one Big Ten championship game away from Fox that they kind of thought they were getting. They're like, wait, we're only getting 4 the next 7? What the heck? Thought we were getting 5. You gave NBC a game?
Just make sure we get the first one in that new building, that new dome they're putting in Chicago. I want to be there.
So really, you call up Eric Shanks, president of Fox Sports, and you go, Oregon, Washington worth anything to you guys? And he says, well, you know, I mean, they're worth a little something to us. I mean, Oregon draws. Washington has tradition, a little bit of a base. They draw, I don't know, about 13 extra people than normal. And then, Fox probably goes, how much you looking for? And Tony goes, well, let me do the math. I got to make sure the pie stays exactly the same.
That's the thing. And the pie, I mean, that means you need it means you need $150 million.
Well,
a year. David,
you need at least $120. You do. Right. A year. And Fox may say, this is funny. We're not going to have Oregon and Washington on a lot. You kidding me? We're going to be airing Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and USC games. You really should be calling CBS and NBC. Whether or not they find Oregon and Washington interesting, because they're the ones that are going to be airing those games. Those aren't A-list games to us. Are you kidding me? Did you see the NBC schedule that got released? A lot of Big Ten West. A lot of Wisconsin, Iowa. Throw in some Minnesota, Nebraska. Not a lot of Big Ten East on the list of games that NBC's getting. I'll bet that has to be sobering. I mean, I think they get Ohio State once. I don't even know if Michigan was on it. Yeah. I think Penn State's on it once. It's like, seriously? This is all you guys can give us? Fox is sitting there going, yeah.
Big noon kickoff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to stay the big noon kickoff.
Right. We got FS1 and we got the Big Ten Network. Yeah, we got to take care of ourselves. Got it? So, I mean, if I were the networks, quite frankly, they're not worth that to me. No, I'm not chipping in the requisite amount so that everybody's take remains the same. Sorry. So,
and if you're the Big Ten, how do you vote a team in if you're going to have to take less money? This is all about money. So
Yes,
why
it is.
would I be increasing the size of my conference to get less money? It makes no sense. I don't know where Oregon and Washington end up, but to me, they don't end up in the Big Ten.
Now, apparently, the deal that Fox and ESPN signed with the Big 12 is that if the Big 12 expands and they bring in Power 5 schools, that the networks have agreed to ante up so that the shares stay full. That's why they can add Colorado, and Colorado gets a full share immediately because apparently it's in the deal. And remember, the Big 12's new contract doesn't begin till 2024 or 2025. So the new contract they signed, like UCF's not getting $32 million this year. UCF's getting between 18 and 20 for this year and next year. They're not going to get a full share till 25 at the earliest.
But it's significantly higher than what they were getting in the AAC,
which was like 7. So that's why they're fine with it. They're getting 12 million more. They're good. If I'm the Big 12, by the way, I'm giving Washington and Oregon, I'm giving you a month. Maybe less. Hey, we'll make room for you. Absolutely. Bring you both. And then we'll bring in, UConn probably. Call it a day. We'll go coast to coast, baby. That's what we are. Put the big in Big 12. Hell, might call ourselves the Big 16. I'd bring them in all seriousness, though, Mark. I'd bring them in even though I know they only want a lease. At best, with an option to buy. I know they just want a soft landing spot, and they're still hell-bent on going to the Big 10. I'm fine with it. I'll take them.
They might have to go all big country with their conference.
Ooh, I like that. You know, it is a shame that Conference USA is taken. Because, one of these major conferences really should rename themselves Conference USA.
Or NFL Light.
But if I'm the Big 12, I'll lease Oregon and Washington. I'm okay with that. I got no problem. Yep. You'll help us. We'll help you. We understand you're probably headed to the Big 10 and that's where your heart is. We're fine with that.
Because their fight's not with the Big 10 in the SEC. Their fight's with the ACC and the Pac-12. They're trying to be number 3.
Correct. In fact, if we do this correctly, by taking Oregon and Washington, we may decimate the Pac-12. It could literally go away.
I would do the same thing for that reason. Your fight's not with the Big 10. And it's never going to be. You're never going to be on equal footing with the Big 10 and the SEC. That's just a fact. But you can clearly be number 3 right now and overtake the ACC and the Pac-12 simultaneously.
And at that moment, I'd also take the 2 Arizonas and Utah. I'd go to 18. I'd put the Pac-12 out of business, knowing full well that Oregon and Washington want to leave. Okay, we go back to 16. At which point, I'm telling you, I'm still calling the ACC schools. Even at 18, Mark, I'm calling the ACC schools. Florida, Clemson, Miami, Louisville, NC State, Georgia Tech, Vatech. Hey, you need a home? Get Carolina and Virginia to go to the Big 10. They could take Oregon and Washington with them as far as I'm concerned. We'll be down to 3, baby. We turned 5 into 3. As long as I'm one of the 3, I don't care.
And then with what you're talking about going to 24.
Yeah.
Miller and Moulton. I think somehow David may have these conferences already broke down. That's next.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I may have to go back and either listen or read the transcripts, but apparently Byron Donalds was on Wink and DeSantis was then pissed at Donalds after.
Well, Donalds, I think, is a Trumper. I mean, Donalds has been mentioned as a potential vice presidential candidate.
He was on with Dan Dockich last week.
Donalds?
Yeah.
How's he doing helping Southwest Floridians recover from Ian?
I don't know. I don't pay any attention.
Uh-huh. I could tell you. Yep. Him, Scott, the Naples resident, Rubio. Yep. How are they doing leaning on those insurance companies who are absolutely ripping tens of thousands of people off after the worst thing that's happened to them in their lives? Yep. We needed you bastards to show up once in your whole damn political careers. That's the only thing that voters ask of you guys. We know you're corrupt. We know you're paid off. But when we need you to be there. One time. Nope. In fact, if anything, you guys stood back and watched legislation pass that screwed the Florida resident more than before last year's hurricane season. More. Unbelievable. It's an absolute disgrace. Don't care what party you're in. Doesn't matter. Nope. They're all guilty, by the way. All of them. But right now, there's a group of like 4 or 5 people, and they should be taken out back and beaten for what they've done to people who got victimized by the hurricanes last year. It's an absolute disgrace. We needed you to show up one time, gentlemen. One time. We would have voted for you for the rest of our lives. We needed you one time. That's what really bothers me. We know you're corrupt. We know the whole system's light against us. We're getting screwed. It's hard. We get it all. But when we need you, could you just be there? That's it. How many times are we going to need you? Probably once. That's it. We'll give you 20 years of votes. Can you just be there the one time? God, it bothers me. Both parties, a myriad of issues. Golly. Well, and Hops, not only that, all the people who haven't gotten any insurance money or are fighting like hell just to get pennies on the dollar. And meanwhile, insurance has more than doubled in this state since last year. Yeah. It's just, God, come on, there's got to be a way where you could be corrupt and get yours and not screw us in the process, right? I mean, do you have to make it continuously harder on us?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mo Egger will head out to Cincinnati, top of the hour. Their heart was in their throat yesterday. Joe Burrow being carted off the field in practice. Hey, the good news is at least the Reds are done playing the Brewers. They go like 3-10 against them this year. And Chris Perkins will join us a little more than an hour. Jalen Ramsey carted off. Injuries more serious. Going to miss some time. Just a matter of how much. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's our 8 o'clock hour coming up.
So you've already got these divisions all worked out, don't you? You've already got this ACC Big 12 or Big 12 ACC takeover done, mapped out, how it looks.
Yeah, I do. Here's my thing. If we're 24 teams, do we still call ourselves the Big 12? Do you go Big 12 East, Big 12 West? Big 12 South, Big 12 West? You know, Big 12 squared. You know, what do you, come on, you're the marketing guy. You're the creative guy. I'm awful when it comes to this stuff.
Big 12 squared, huh?
I don't know. I'm spitballing here.
Are there 144 teams in the conference?
I didn't want you to figure that out. Okay. I know. Once again, I'm spitballing, throwing stuff up against the wall.
Well, I've given up on conference names a long time ago because they don't make any sense. You know, I don't think they're going to call them legends and leaders, so I think we're okay there.
No, there's a good chance I'm going to let that one go. Nice suggestion. I think somebody's tried it. So we could just stay with Big 12, even though it's double that. Yeah, we could go Big 12 times 2. You know, Big 12, Big 12 2.
Well, like Little Caesars, Big 12, Big 12. Like pizza.
Pan. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. Because once again, you and I we're looking at the Big Ten and the SEC going, we don't need to get any bigger. Why would we get bigger?
There's nobody out there that would that would earn you, in my opinion, more money. There's only one school that the Big Ten could get that gets you to open up the checkbooks to get more money, and that's Notre Dame.
Now, there are a couple of interesting schools for the Big Ten. Would they get you more money? No. Could they get you equal money to what you're getting now? Potentially. Why? Because of where they're located. Conferences are into, quote, footprints, unquote. I mean, the biggest thing UConn has going for them for potential membership in the Big 12 is what? Where they're located. Now, all of a sudden, all the teams in the Big 12 would get media attention in the Northeast. Big 12 is invisible in the Northeast. UConn basketball especially draws a lot of attention in the Northeast. All right, here's what I would do. So Colorado joins me. I'm the Big 12 now. I'm speaking as commissioner of the Big 12. So I'm at 13. Yeah, I'm going to add the 2 Arizonas and Utah. So I'm going to 16. I'm going to add UConn. So now I'm at 17. And I'm calling the group that's really unhappy in the ACC. I'll say I'll take you all. By the way, this is a one-time offer. I'll take you all. And I would say to UConn, by the way, your membership's on hold. I got a phone call to make because I'm staying at 16, but I'm willing to go to 24. UConn's the one I got, and they'll wait. I mean, they're independent right now. They're Big East basketball and everything else, and they're independent football. And I know if I call and say we're ready to take you, they'll be like, we're done. Send the email. But here's who I'm taking. Because Carolina and Virginia, I think, are going to end up in the Big Ten. If I make this phone call and pull this coup off, Carolina and Virginia go to the Big Ten. And I take Florida State, Miami, Clemson, NC State, Georgia Tech, Va Tech, and Louisville. There you go. My Western, if you will, Big 12 is Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, K-State, Iowa State, Colorado, BYU, Utah, and the 2 Arizonas. Now, I have to take Houston and move them to the East, which is not ideal for them, okay, because they would like to probably stay with the other Texas schools. But I would just say, listen, you have no history with us. You're not really a Big 12 school. So I'm going to put you in with the 3 others, or at least the 2 others that you've been in a conference with in UCF and Cincinnati. UConn. I am taking West Virginia, though, and removing them from all the people they've been with, and I'm moving West Virginia to the East. And then I'm taking the 7 ACC schools, putting them together. So UCF, Florida State, Miami would be on their side together. I got Cincinnati, West Virginia, Louisville all together. UConn and Houston, well, don't know what to tell you. You want in or not?
The only thing I would do differently, I would call Iowa State and say, do you want to be in the East for Houston?
So
I'd literally ask them, and I'm not joking around.
Okay, that's fair. So you would say to Iowa State of all the schools.
Just geographically, Cincinnati, Louisville, it's not that far away.
Fair enough. And if Iowa State actually would prefer, you'd say, okay, and then you'd put Houston over with their Texas brethren in Oklahoma State and what have you. Remember, BYU, I bring in Utah, I put BYU and Utah together. Just saying, there's more here than I think meets the eye, is all I'm saying. But I'm willing to go big.
24 teams, that is big. You know what else is big? Our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us today?
Well, Shohei continues to do Shohei things. Yesterday, in the first leg of a doubleheader, he had a complete game shutout and only allowed 1 hit in a 6-0 victory over the Tigers. And then in the second leg of the doubleheader, he did this.
Some clapping for Shohei, who goes to the opposite field. Get going, yeah! His major league leading 37th oppo shot.
And remember, he threw a shutout in game 1 of this doubleheader. And then he hits an opposite field rocket out. And the cheers here at Comerica Park for Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, he got another one. Get going. Ohtani has done it again. Santa Maria! Complete game shutout, check. 2 homers in the nightcap, check.
I can't believe this.
Neither can we. Shohei Ohtani with 2 home runs in game 2, a 1-hit shutout in game 1, as the Angels take 2 from the Tigers, and he is our play of the day.
This is not Little League. This is not high school. This is not even Division I college ball here. He just did this in the major flippin' leagues. 38 homers, 80 RBIs. He's hitting 298. As Mark pointed out, he's also leading Major League Baseball in triples. And every 5th day he pitches. And he's really good.
Playoffs.
They've won 8 of their last 10.
They're 3 out. They're 3 back of the Jays.
They are on a roll.
Gonna have to figure out a way to beat the Rangers and the Astros and teams like that down the stretch. But man, oh man, what a story this will be heading towards the postseason. Miller and Moulton. When we come back, we'll talk a little National Football League. A coach had an out-of-body experience and let it all rip.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Fam forever. Miller and Moulton are big USF/South Florida, however it is they want their school pronounced, fans. We have been. And even though Mark at times has gone back and forth with UCF fan base, we've both been big UCF fans.
No. Nope. David has. You're trying to speak nicely about me. I've not.
As somebody who's all in on USF or South Florida, whatever it is you call them, if I was running a network and you said, hey, we're going to add USF, I'd be like, yeah, not a dime. Not a dime. Memphis.
Not a dime. David, there's not a school out there that I'd pay for right now. Oregon and Washington in the Big 12.
Carolina is interesting. The University of North Carolina is interesting. It's a state that's in top 10 in population and is growing. Obviously, we know about basketball. They're really good in a lot of other sports too. And they should stay well-financed and good in just about everything they do. And we know they're willing to cheat. So North Carolina would interest me if I was the Big Ten.
Miami would interest me if I were the Big Ten. But unless you're rating the ACC, there's, Oregon and Washington in the Big Ten? No.
Yeah, I would say to USC and UCLA, I'm sorry. No, can't do it. I know it's in the best interest of you, but it's not in the best interest of the conference.
Right. Do you want to take less money to put them in?
Well, here's the deal. I would say to Oregon and Washington, Phil Knight, you're going to finance this deal? And by the way, you need to finance it forever. So after you die, Nike is still sending the money, just so you know. That's the only way we're doing this. You got to finance this. Is it worth $150 million a year to you for Oregon and Washington? If so, willing to do it.
But can you get the Big Ten network on LA cable? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, really. Oh, no, Johnny, I understand, that the deck is stacked in this state, but it's the decks are stacked too many places where it's the other party too.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, on this final Friday of July. Your magic numbers are 29, 34, and 41 for the football season beginning when you feel it begins. Either week 0 of college, week 1 of college, or Lions and Chiefs 6 weeks from last night. Mo Egger, he's the dominant sports voice, at least on the radio in Cincinnati. He'll join us at the top of the hour. Chris Perkins, outstanding columnist in South Florida for the Sun Sentinel. He will join us coming up 1 hour from now. Marlins made a noteworthy trade at around 11 o'clock last night. They acquired David Robertson, probably the second best reliever who's going to be dealt from the Mets. They gave up 2 really good, but really young prospects, both teenagers. They're both in rookie league. They ain't getting to the majors for 3, 4, 5 years. And that's if they make it. So that's what the Marlins gave up to get an outstanding back of the bullpen guy. So they made a deal swapping relievers the other day. Now they get Robertson. Now it's time, Kim, to turn to the offense. And Rays, the clock is a ticking. You got 3 with the Astros and 3 with the Yankees coming up. Huh? Come on now. Get to work. Where's that? Just saying.
So yesterday, about this time, word of the USA Today article with Sean Payton started to filter out. And by about 11, it had taken over from the pay cut that Aaron Rodgers had taken, being the lead story of the morning. David, we ask for 6 seconds of truth on this show.
Right.
Sean Payton gave 6 to 16 minutes.
Yes, he did.
In an epic takedown of the former coach and current offensive coordinator of the New York Jets.
Correct.
They can only beat the blank out of you so much, but everybody's got a little stink on their hands. It's not just Russell. It was a poor offensive line. It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. That's how bad it was.
Those who have been in a production meeting with Sean Payton recognize this guy. Because this is how Sean Payton talks all the time. And usually midway through a production meeting, somebody at the table has to go, I just want to, are we on the record or no? All right, because Sean Payton lets it rip. And Sean Payton apparently decided this time, yeah, it's on the record. Oh, okay, good. I'm telling you, Mark, there's 5 other reporters who have had quotes like this from him in which he was like, no, this is off the record. I'm just telling you. You guys want to keep banging on Russ. I'm just telling you, it was an absolute joke last year. It was high schoolish. Can I use that? No. But this reporter got him to go, yeah, sure.
Everything I heard that they did, we're doing the opposite. These two teams play week 5.
As a matter of fact, they do. Yes.
Never thought I would care so much about a Broncos-Jets game, but I can't wait.
Listen, in fairness to Sean Payton, we're all 4 people telling the truth. Their truth. Okay? Listen, I don't want you holding back. I want more personality in sports, not less. Screw the messaging. Say what you feel. That's kind of a mantra of this show. Can we put that on the back of a t-shirt?
Probably.
But to review, is he wrong? No, seriously. The Broncos were a disaster last year. An absolute disaster.
He did point out that they were 29th in the league in pre-snap penalties on both sides of the ball.
Here's how bad it was for the Broncos. During home games, they committed so many delays of game, or were on the verge of committing so many delays of game that they had to burn timeouts and et cetera, that the home fans mid-season started counting down the play clock so that the team would be aware of how much time, how little time they had left to get the ball snapped. The home crowd. It was a disaster. Do we have to go back to the Monday night opener last year where, they had the ball and they had multiple timeouts left and they had a minute 15 to go in the game and Russell completes a pass in the left flank, and he breaks a tackle and he gets it down to 4th and 5. And do you know how many plays they ran in the next 40 seconds? None. Didn't call a timeout, didn't run a play. Then burned a timeout and attempted a 64-yard field goal. Right. Sean Payton really saying anything that others haven't already said, but they just don't have the pedigree of Sean Payton?
Oh, David, trust me, I'm all for more coaches doing this, but this is not what happens in the coaching fraternity. You don't hear other coaches say it's the worst coach team in the history of the National Football League. You don't hear, he talked about he went right directly after the Jets for being on Hard Knocks and how they're playing their off season. Any question he was asked, he answered as honestly as he could for what he thought the truth was. I love every second of it.
I will say, I think he was out of line in criticizing the Jets. I do. Jets didn't want to be on Hard Knocks. Jets got assigned Hard Knocks. Can't blame them for that. All right. Also, what, you think they're just, quote, trying to win the offseason? That's what you accuse them of? No, they had a solid team last year. They needed a quarterback. They went out and got Aaron Rodgers. We're going to blame them for that? Seriously? I mean, it's funny. The year before, Denver had a 7-win team. What was the thought? We need a quarterback. They went out and got Russell Wilson. Was anybody banging on the Broncos? Now, they did give up a lot. We did say, wow, they gave up a lot. But
they, by all accounts, people thought they were going to be a playoff team, or at least compete to be a playoff team a year ago. Not the disaster that it was.
Right. I will say, former offensive lineman Billy Turner, he heard the quotes and he spoke his truth about Sean Payton. And we can't say what Billy Turner said about Sean Payton. We'd have to clean that sucker up. Yeah. So, hey, I like it. This league loses personality every year.
Yeah, we're so used to the Belichick type of style where they give us nothing that I don't want to be critical. I don't have to agree with anything Sean Payton said. I love that he said it.
I do too. And you know what? Now the Broncos-Jets games got even a little more juice. Fantastic. Listen, I didn't think he was the greatest head coach in the world, but I loved Jerry Glanville. Absolutely loved him. Same with Buddy Ryan. I didn't think he was the best head coach in the world. Players absolutely adored him. But I had no problem with Buddy Ryan. I mean, he'd call teams out. This is when you could publicly put a bounty on players and teams and not get suspended for a year by a commissioner. I loved them. I did. And then once Glanville decided he was going to leave tickets for Elvis at the front, I mean, he had me at Elvis too, but
I do think, look, it's a week-to-week league and this isn't college. I do think there's a little extra pressure now on Denver with this, though. A little extra. And maybe he just assigned all the pressure to himself and took it off of Russ. But if you say that it's the worst coach team in the history of the league, then Russ has pressure on him this year and Sean Payton has. Sean Payton's perfectly fine with the pressure. We'll see how Russ is.
They open at home with the Raiders and at home with the Commanders.
Should be 2-0.
Yes. And then if they're 2-0, they go to Miami, they go to Chicago, and then they host the Jets.
Could be 3-1 hosting the Jets.
Should be 3-1 hosting the Jets. The road game in Chicago is not going to be easy. I'm telling you, Justin Fields is going to surprise teams this year. I'm not a fantasy guy. I'm thinking about being all in on Justin Fields. I know that's risky, but I'm just saying. Something to ask Dr. Roto on Tuesday, August 15th, by the way. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
Brought to you by the law office of Michael F. Hornon. As David said, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 will get you an evening with Dr. Roto. Dinner, a drink, and the best fantasy football knowledge that we can get our hands on. One of the best in the business is all there for you. Your questions answered all night long. It's like your own personal press conference with Dr. Roto. And we know there'll be far more questions than Alex Golish received at AAC Media Day.
He's coming on the show next week, by the way, early in the week. Alex
He'll get
Golich.
far more questions on this show than he did at AAC Media Day.
Yes, he will. Far more interest in him and his program on this show. I think we're going to have him weekly, by the way. We're working out a day and time. I think the South Florida football coach is going to come on this show weekly during the season. Probably early in the week. I'm thinking it looks like Tuesday's going to work. So, we got that going for us.
Fantastic.
Which is nice.
Let's hope they deliver with a little better season.
Yeah, well, it can't be worse. I mean, hell, 1-11 last year. I guess technically it could, but we won't go down that road. So, the Broncos only have one primetime game. Actually, technically two. I think they got a Thursday nighter. That's a bias on my part. It's on streaming. Does it really count?
Yes.
Yeah, it should. I mean, after all, how much streaming
Is
are
it
we
8
all
p.m.
watching?
at night on a weeknight? Is that considered prime time to you?
It is. They do have they have a Sunday nighter tentatively scheduled, but it's scheduled during a time where NBC can opt out. So I don't count anybody's Sunday night football games in the second half of the year because they can opt out of those suckers. That's just like, yeah, throw it on the board. We'll see. But they got a Thursday nighter in Kansas City, and they got a Monday nighter in Buffalo. It's our only trip to Buffalo this year.
You talk like that's a bad thing.
Well, it is because I actually love the food there. Okay, you know me. I will. We got to go get some wings. Well, I hope we're going to more than one place. I mean, I'm in town for like 4 meals. I mean, we can have wings like 3 times. I mean, I want to walk into every place going, I just was at the place down the street. They say they're better than you.
Fire up a dozen. Let's go.
Exactly. That's how we roll.
And make sure they're medium, not any hotter than that.
No, because I'm a wuss. You should see how pale the beer I drink is, too. I may talk tough. You could push me down with, an 11-year-old's elbow.
Wing or a nugget for you?
Oh, no, I'm wings. I mean,
okay, because I've seen you annihilate trays of boneless wings when they're sitting there, which are just glorified nuggets.
Yeah, and they're not good, but it's that or not eat. So of course I'm going to eat them. Once again, David, if it's not nailed down, I'll eat it Moulton. Okay, so that's all. But do I order boneless? No, I never order nuggets or boneless. I always want wings. When they don't have them, okay, plan B.
Just making sure.
Yes, I have at a McDonald's drive-thru ordered 2 20-piece nuggets. One with sweet and sour, one with barbecue. Yes, I have
20 pieces.
Yeah,
You've never
So
seen a display of David Moulton eating before. The
No,
next
you
time
really haven't.
the next time he comes to town after the show, we're going to an early lunch so you can see what the man can do in
But
front
see,
of
I do that and I feel terrible afterwards. Do
He
you-
does
do-
that and goes
do-
through the drive-thru again for a cheeseburger.
But
Right.
do you finish all that and are like,
and then 2.5 hours later, I'm hungry. Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Well, I'm trying to behave, as I get older.
Miller and Moulton. The Great 8 is next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, wow.
Leaving Mo a voicemail. I'm going to call him back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We're just halfway home for those in the 239, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Hoping to catch up with Mo Egger from ESPN in Cincinnati. Coming up, Chris Perkins. I confused him with another writer. Chris Perkins scheduled to join us coming up in a little more than 30 minutes time to talk about the Dolphins.
It's a Miami sports writer faux pas right there.
Barry Jackson, Chris Perkins. I was, Chris Jackson, Barry Perkins. That's what I was doing there. My bad.
Text line's open, 21,000-21-000. You want to chime in on anything in the show? You have questions for Chris Perkins, go ahead and fire them to the text line, and we may include them in our interview coming up in a little bit time.
Injuries yesterday grabbing the headlines. Joe Burrow carted off a practice field in Cincinnati. Seems as if the news is good there. Jalen Ramsey carted off a practice field in South Florida. News not as good. We'll find out just how bad in the coming days. He's definitely going to need left knee surgery on his meniscus. He's definitely going to miss some time. It's just a matter of, is he going to miss 2 months or 4 to 5? It's kind of a big difference. I mean, the Dolphins with Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard at corner, there's a lot they can do on defense. That's 2 number 1 corners. Thank you very much. Howard getting knocked down in people's estimation because he played most of last year with a hurt hamstring and he couldn't run. Tough to play corner, by the way, if you can't run. And so Howard didn't have a good year last year, but he played through it. When a lot of players, especially at that position, would have said, yeah, I got a hamstring, I can't play. Now, should the Dolphins coordinators have called some of the defenses that they called, like, 3rd and long in the playoff game against the Bills, and they got Howard one-on-one with Diggs. Considering he can't run, this might maybe zone. I don't know. Safety help. Gets beat for a long pass, leads to a score. They lose a 1-score game. I bet that on the coaches, not Howard trying to play because he's better than, Noah Igbanyani, even if he's 60%. So Jalen Ramsey out puts a little pressure. I will say, Dolphins with their first pick of the draft, though, because they didn't have a first rounder, they took that corner from South Carolina who was highly thought of. And Chris Greer got a lot of grief and was asked, what the heck are you doing taking a corner? He said, yeah, you can never have enough of them.
And that's been proved out already in the first week of camp. Ramsey going down yesterday. As you mentioned, it's now a wait and see. Is it 6 to 8 weeks? Is it 4 months? We'll find that news out probably early next week.
There's a couple of things I still can't get over from yesterday. What's more remarkable? Ohtani's day, the one hitter in the first game and the 2 homers in the second. Or I'm just going to say something, and can we all just give it a few seconds to marinate? The Mets are sellers and the Marlins are buyers. And in fact, they orchestrated a trade yesterday in which the Marlins got the immediate help. A guy that, like most of the rest of Major League Baseball, went, damn, he's a good player. I was trying to get him. Tell me these are not bat blank crazy times, okay? I'll say it again. The Mets are sellers. The Marlins are buyers. The Marlins just bought from the Mets.
And gave up 2 prospects, as you pointed out, that won't see the major leagues for 4 years.
Yeah, and that's if they see them, right?
Right.
They're both in rookie ball. Correct. Now, considered top 20 prospects in the organization, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll see.
They're prospects in rookie ball.
Yeah.
It is as hard of a climb as there is in all of sports to get from rookie ball to the major leagues.
Right.
No matter what type of a prospect you are.
Exactly. Now, I know Ohtani is more remarkable. I get it. But that's how crazy things are right now in the sports world, ladies and gentlemen. The Marlins are buyers and the Mets are sellers. Man.
And they traded Robinson basically during a rain delay.
Oh, not basically. Oh, no. During the 97-minute rain delay, he was warming up as it was raining. The Mets had tied the game at 1. He was coming in the ninth, whether it was tied or they took the lead because the bases were loaded. They stopped the game for the rain for an hour and 37 minutes. As the rain was dying down and they were taking the tarp off the field, a lefty reliever started warming up for the Mets. It's like, what happened to David Robertson? Check Twitter. He's going to the Marlins.
Speaking of your Mets really quickly, I have neighbors. You've met them. They are diehard Met fans. They're in New York. I think it's a son's birthday or something like that. They're an older couple. They have now been to 17 consecutive Mets games in which the Mets have lost.
Oh, no, they continue to go.
They're going today. They're going today.
Who's pitching for them?
Scherzer.
Okay, I was going to say, don't go when it's Carrasco. Give yourself a chance.
If there were ever a time to bet the Washington Nationals, today would be the day. They are 0 for 17. She has sworn off going to games twice to me, but she's going back today. The husband just looked at me and he says, bet against him. So for Vinny and Pat, I hope the Mets get a win today. But if you were a smart gambler, you might want to throw a little money on the Nats.
So that's our inside information. Hope that doesn't get us in trouble with, a governing body of some kind. I mean, I don't think the New York State can come after us for that information, can they?
No.
I mean, we can when we are dragged into court. We could just say, listen, we give that out. You could just say that the other side was due. I mean, it's kind of like Susan Lucci had to win a daytime Emmy, right?
At some point.
0 for 17, huh?
0 for 17. Could you still, Felipe, you're a diehard everything Miami, and even if it's, just brand new, you're diehard everything Miami. You jump on the bandwagon quickly. You're now the biggest Inter Miami fan in the 239.
I wouldn't say all that now, but yeah.
If you went to 10 consecutive Heat games in which the Heat lost every time you went to the game, could you still go to Heat games?
It'd be rough.
Because that's your team. Like, that's your team.
Of course.
You wouldn't blame yourself for the losing streak.
I would suffer through the pain. I would still go. Listen, there's not many other things on earth that I love more than Miami Heat basketball. Like your neighbor feels with the Mets.
Yeah, she loves the Mets more than her husband.
Exactly.
She does. I've seen her. She talks about the Mets with a gleam in her eye that she does not look at her husband that way anymore.
No, they've been married, probably 30, 40 years. She loves the Mets far more than she loves her husband. It's not close.
It's like how Miller and Moulton like football more than most other things.
It's funny. We're actually big fans of other sports, but the audience wants football. We're trying to give the audience what the audience wants. We've been told that's how you stay in business.
Yeah, trust me, we love all sports.
Right.
Our bread is buttered by football.
Darn right.
The sports audience loves football more than anything else. My favorite sport's hockey.
Right.
I will say, though, the Mets are now out of it. The season's gone to you-know-what. I would spend this series against the Nats. I'd go to every game until they won to end the schneid, if you know what I mean. I got to break this. But if the Mets were decent or better, no, I couldn't go. And the streak still continued, there's no way I could go. Absolutely not.
in the majority of these losses, we're going across the coast to watch them play the Marlins.
Right. I know.
There's a good 10 of these that are against the Marlins.
For that, I probably wouldn't be able to go, because if it's that much of a hassle for me to go to this game and know that they're going to lose because I'm there, then I'd probably stop.
So, no, I would think, because I'm a superstitious sports fan. And so, no, I would think, even though obviously it makes no sense, I would just go, well, I can't go. It's going to hurt our chances. I mean, during the summer of 94 with the Knicks and the Rangers, I had a little thing going when I would shift my shift to the morning shift, and I would work 7A to 3P so that I could watch the Knicks or the Rangers at night. And I had a little stretch going where every time I moved my work shift, they lost. And so when the Knicks and the Rangers were playing really big games late in the playoffs that year, I made sure to work. And we put the game on the radio in the warehouse. No. I was going to do everything. And by the way, in the Stanley Cup final, when the Rangers got up 3-1, I changed. I worked the morning, and I set it up because the Rangers are going to win the cup in the game 5 at home, and I'm going to watch it. And of course, they lost. And I had all my Ranger friends call me and say, "This is your fault." And so sure enough, game 7, did I watch it live? I did not. No. I listened to Howie Rose and Marv Albert on the radio, taped it, and watched it again. No, I had to do my part.
That's a fan right there, folks. That's a fan. There's changing seats, there's changing shirts, there's not watching for the sake of your team. That is a sacrifice that most of you couldn't take or make, for that matter.
Game 6 against the Devils. They're down 3-2. Got to go on the road to stay alive. Did I watch? No, couldn't.
Even with the guarantee, you couldn't watch.
I couldn't. Nope. Had to listen on the radio. Greatest hat trick ever. Nope.
So that's just a little story. Vinny and Pat, they're going to the Mets game today. They've lost 17 straight games, of which they've gone to see the Mets. If you were to bet the Nats, the Mets are minus 190 in this one with Scherzer on the hill.
Wow. I might have to bet against my team. I'm getting great odds, and I got Pat at the game.
Giving you money that way and trying to make you money this way with the Fantasy Football Summit coming up on August the 15th, 7 p.m. at the Bell Tower Crown Plaza. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up. The Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto, brought to you by the law offices of Michael F. Hornon. Go to mfh-law.com. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. Where else but right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call. Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Holy cow. This guy is literally sending me text after text of his Heat record in the games that he was at and the games that he was lost. Wow. Thank you for that.
So is he another one in which he goes, they lose?
No, he's 15-2, and he's listing literally every game he's been to.
Well, that's a little unnecessary, but 15-2, huh? Now, I will say the Heat have been pretty good. I mean, if we went to Heat games, they'd probably be 10-7 or 11-6 in those games. A guy who goes by Bearcat Matt, he's a Cincinnati fan. He took to Twitter and he listed his Big 12 expansion preferences and he ranked them. Number 7, by the way, South Florida. Number 8, Bishop Sycamore. Number 12, Inner Miami. Number 1,139, Utah. And number 9,993,000, Memphis. 45 years ago today.
What's that?
Do you have it on your list? 1978?
The only thing I have from 1978 is that the old timers game, Martin announced he would manage the Yankees again.
Animal House.
Oh.
80 years ago today, Stalin, you know, they're into dictatorships over there. Stalin passed the Cowards Act. The Germans were making progress invading Russia, and he ordered that you're not allowed to take a step back, and it was referred to as the Cowards Act because he actually used the word coward.
DC, Georgia, and Alabama don't have legalized gambling either.
Mississippi, right? Closest place, probably, right?
Probably.
You can go to the casino in Biloxi.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Chris Perkins, Sun Sentinel, he covers the Dolphins. He'll join us a little more than 15 minutes time to discuss Jalen Ramsey's injury yesterday. Where do the Dolphins go from here? What's he hearing about the extent of the injury? 2 different medical opinions are out there. If it's not a completely torn meniscus, he can be back within 8 weeks. If it's a completely torn meniscus, it's 4 to 5 months. I mean, no big deal or anything. It's the difference between September and December. So we'll talk to Chris about that coming up. So there's another report out there about another school, and they want to relocate. That school happens to be Florida State. Another reporter came out overnight and said, listen, my sources are telling me they're actively trying to leave the ACC. Well, first off, we've kind of known that for a few months. They announced it publicly in May. So I really don't know if this is worthy of the breaking or developing news thing. I don't know what color we should give this graphic on the bottom of the screen.
Green. We should always give this green because it's not going to happen without a lot of money being handed out or a completely upheaval of schools in the ACC, because the grant of rights deal is there. And as you pointed out yesterday, David, this thing by most legal experts is non-negotiable. It's binding. They're not getting out of the grant of rights, which they would have to sacrifice their media rights through the end of the ACC contract.
Right. So think about it. If you're first off, you got to pay $50 million to leave minimum. And then all the media money that you're going to get from the new conference, you have to send to the ACC. So you're not going to make any money for 12, 13 years. Who the hell's going to do that? Seriously. So that's why it's considered, man, we can't get out. Now, the only way they can get out is if 8 of the 14 schools decide to leave. Then that's over half the members of the conference. The conference is no longer a conference. I mean, it says it in its bylaws. If a majority of the schools get up and leave, none of what's on the books is binding. Okay. Here's the part of the equation, though. Can we have an honest discussion? The one thing, Miller and Moulton try to subscribe to a few things. One is follow the money. But the other is we try to be really honest and self-scout ourselves. We know our strengths as a show. We know our weaknesses as a show. We know our strengths individually. Mark and I do as friends and as coworkers, and we know our weaknesses. Okay. And we've learned to, iron some things out or just accept the other for how they are. Can we have an honest discussion about Florida State? You're the biggest Noles fan out there if you're listening. Do you really think the SEC is going to take you? Because first off, you can forget this whole Big Ten charade. That is never happening. And you know that. Do you really think the SEC is going to take you? Honestly. Be honest.
And even if the answer is yes, when?
And why? And here's the part of the equation that no one's talking about, and they need to. ESPN does not have the money. And if they do, I don't think they want to spend it on teams joining the SEC.
No, they're going to want to spend it on just keep it to college football. And then, David, you can expand on all the other things that they need to spend it on. But if they're going to spend money on college football, realistically, don't you believe it's to have as many games in the new playoff format as possible?
Yes. The games that 15 to 25 million people are going to watch? Yes. As opposed to investing in a school that's going to attract 2 to 4 million on ESPN or ESPN2? Yeah. I think it's the playoff mark, but that's me. Now, there is a component to this. ESPN's shelling out 240 or so million a year to the ACC. If that conference goes away, then they have 240 extra million in their pocket. Okay, how do they want to spend that money? If you're running ESPN to have 2 or 3 more college football playoff games or to get Florida State and Clemson in the SEC?
To have 2 or 3 more playoff games, to have your relationship with the NBA continue that you need money for.
Oh, well, I thought we were just staying with college football.
Well,
If we want to go off the field, let me tell you the money that we're spending. Yeah, we're spending X amount on the NBA. The NBA has let us know we want 3 times that. And while we thought we weren't going to have another serious bidder to become the number 1 network for the NBA, apparently NBC's got their hand raised saying, tell us how much it costs. Oh, great. So we're actually going to have to pay this. We're going to have to pay 2.5 times more for the NBA going forward than what we're paying now. And LeBron's going to be done in 2 years, and Steph's going to be done within 5. That's fantastic. Great.
But none of us think that that ESPN is going to not bid on the NBA.
Oh, no. They're going to pay the freight.
It's too big of a component of their network.
The NBA is bigger to them than college football. It's close, but it's bigger. So if we're having a really honest discussion here, ESPN, and listen, I do not have inside information. There are times when I do. I do not have inside information. I am willing to bet a large amount of my net worth, though, that I am right. Since ESPN and the SEC negotiated their upcoming TV deal 3.5 years ago, I am absolutely convinced that ESPN looked at Greg Sankey and said, well, you're going to go to 9 conference games, right? And he said, yes. And they said, well, put it in writing. And he goes, well, technically I can. It has to be voted on. So he goes, but trust me, I want it. Nick wants it. It'll happen. Oh, okay. So we're getting 9 games. Of course you're getting 9 games. Because we need more programming. So now what happens? Sankey pushes for 9 games. Looks like it's going to go through. There's a backlash. It doesn't go through. What does Greg Sankey have to do to save face? He blames it on ESPN not willing to pay more money for the games. ESPN publicly said, not a dime. And I'm sure privately they said to Sankey, you blankety blank. You promised us 9 games. Now, no one's going to say that publicly. If this went to court, I'd bet everything I owned that he promised them 9 games. They have said publicly they will not pay the SEC an extra dime for them to go from 8 conference games to 9. You think they're going to pay for Florida State and Clemson?
And we don't. The same way we don't think the Big Ten should be paying for Oregon and Washington. We don't think it's worth it.
Now, if Phil Knight wants to bankroll it, and by the way, and Phil's not a young man, and the Big Ten would look at Phil Knight and go, by the way, just put this in the Nike thing. This is on your balance sheet every year. Nike, you die, you continue to send us the checks.
This is in perpetuity. This is like the spirit of St. Louis ABA basketball team. The checks come. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. There are 2 staples to Nike, Air Jordan and the check to the Big Ten. Correct. So, yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. I love Florida State. Bobby Bowden's my favorite coach of all time. Without question. I was totally in the tank for Bobby Bowden. If I'm the SEC, do I need to go beyond Oklahoma and Texas? Need. The key word is need. 1, no. 2, I don't think I'm getting the money.
And who's going to vote for expanding the conference unless there's more money? The Big 12's in a spot right now where they have a new TV deal coming up. They can get more money. They need teams. The SEC is in a deal. The Big Ten just made a deal.
By the way, I'm an interesting dude. Like, I love Spurrier too. And I love the Canes and their swagger. I could love all three. That's what happens when you grow up in Jersey. I'm nuts. Miller and Moulton.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps. Have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Is that what's her name that just passed?
Yeah, doing All Apologies by Nirvana.
Oh. What?
Sinead O'Connor.
How do you say her name again?
Sinead.
Sinead. Yeah. So, David,
Yes.
you've dedicated your life to football. Is football your favorite sport to watch?
No.
What's your favorite sport?
Hockey.
Okay.
By the way, I've dedicated my life to sports.
That's true. That is true.
It's just in the last, 15 years, football's become a much bigger role because of a couple of side gigs. But sports has been my mistress since I was a kid.
And you've been doing Danielson longer than Aikman.
Yeah. 06 CBS. This is year 6 with Troy. This will be year 18 with Gary. Year 6 with Troy.
How did you get your foot in those doors?
Gary found me. He was stuck in traffic in Estero or Bonita, and he was listening. And he thought I made a few good points, and he didn't understand how somebody sitting at home could see something that they didn't see in the game that he was broadcasting. And it just kind of mushroomed from there. Then he would use us. Okay, first when Mark was still with the Blades, he would come on my show. But then when we joined forces, he would use us. He would come on Mondays, and he would basically like get his thoughts together, take some calls and feedback, because then he's going to do radio interviews for the next 3-4 days. But we were usually like his first interview of the week.
And the one thing he did when he basically got Florida to the national championship, he laid that out on our show.
He did.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Magic numbers 29, 34, and 41. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. That's where you go to sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit. It's coming up 2 weeks from Tuesday. We threw it at you a little later than we wanted to, but Tuesday, August 15th is our Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto. It's limited seating to the first 50 who sign up. It sold out last year. It will sell out again this year. So go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up. Chris Perkins has signed up to be on our show. He covers the Dolphins for the Sun Sentinel. You can follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. Chris Perk. Chris, it's David and Mark. How are you?
Hey, dude, I'm doing better than Jalen Ramsey. That's about as far as I can go with things.
Well,
man.
okay.
What an incredible day, too.
You got to hear us out, all right, if you would, for 30 seconds. Miller and Moulton are betting a lot of money on the Dolphins this year. Yeah, we like their personnel and what have you. But we're betting it because of the karma that's going on in South Florida from mid-March on. FAU, Miami, the Heat, the Panthers, Messi to Inter Miami, the Marlins contending heading into August, for goodness sakes. Chris, Jalen Ramsey being carted off is not part of the script. What the hell's going on?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. That's part of the Dolphins script. You know, Dolphins have a different script. We've seen what's happened here the last 20 years, right? We saw the injuries that happened in the secondary last year. Now, I'll say this for you guys being all in on the Dolphins. I wrote a column about how 2023, this calendar year, is already the best year ever in South Florida sports. The stuff that you guys mentioned, I'll go even a step further. Remember, in this calendar year, the Dolphins actually made the playoffs. They beat the Jets in the regular season finale and played in Buffalo in January. The UM women made it to the Elite Eight, and we had our Division II men's school, Nova Southeastern, in basketball. They won the D2 title, going 32-0. So it's been an outstanding year, calendar year. But the Dolphins are different, man. They kind of mess everything up, don't they? So we'll see what happens with the Dolphins. But, look, all the injuries they had in the secondary last year, starting with Byron Jones, the cornerback going to Brandon Jones, the safety going to Nick Needham, the cornerback going to Xavier Howard, missing games with groin injuries. Man, this secondary, they've got to stay healthy. Now, they do have depth. They drafted Cam Smith, the cornerback from South Carolina in the second round, and Cater Kohu, an undrafted rookie last season. He'll probably be the one who steps in and replaces Jalen Ramsey. But I hear you on the karma of South Florida sports, but the Dolphins are just different. They're just different.
All right, Chris, I know this isn't necessarily a Dolphins thing right now, but Dalvin Cook was linked to the Dolphins. Now he's in New York talking to the Jets. Do you think at all the Dolphins are going to make one last-ditch offer to keep him away from the Jets?
It's interesting. Publicly, the Dolphins act like running back is not a big deal, but when you privately, that they're in on Dalvin Cook and they've got an offer on the table to him as reports go. There was another report that they made a trade inquiry for Saquon Barkley. So, if both of those are true, we know the Dalvin Cook thing is true. We're like 99% on that. And Dalvin has said he wants to be here. They recognize running back is a priority. I don't know how high they're willing to jump for Dalvin Cook. So I think that they definitely would like to have Dalvin, but I don't think that they're going to pay much more than market value for Dalvin. And to me, that's kind of where things are right now. They kind of think, well, we've got at the running back spot, we've got Raheem Mostert, we've got Jeff Wilson. They drafted Devon Achane, the kid from Texas A&M in the third round. Quick kid, very speedy. I think they think we're good. We could be better, but we're okay being good.
Chris, how much of it do you think is also, let's face it, they didn't run the ball much last year. Now, McDaniel did come out and criticize himself and say, upon further review, I should have run the ball more. But even if he commits to running the ball, quote unquote, more, they're still going to be a pass-happy team. Do you think that also plays into, since we're going to throw the ball so much, why should we spend so much on Dalvin Cook?
I do. And please don't get me started on this lack of running the ball thing, because that is a huge pet peeve with me. The Dolphins, second to last in the league in rushing attempts. They were 24th in third down conversions, and yet you have one running back, Raheem Mostert, who averaged 4.9 yards per carry, and another, Jeff Wilson, who averaged 4.7 yards per carry. And so with that, to me, it shows Mike McDaniel, the rookie head coach, really fell in love with going to Tyreek Hill and going to Jalen Waddle. And you can't blame them, right? Those dudes are ballers. I mean, if they're on your team, you're thinking, I've got the advantage in pretty much every matchup. The problem is you get out coached. And we saw that against San Francisco. We saw that against the Chargers, where that's when the Dolphins were 8-3. And in both of those games, they scored 17 points because the opposing coach figured out, hey, if we devote all our resources to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, this team can't score. They have no tight end. They have no run game. And these are games that Tua was playing. Tua was, the 5-game winning streak. He was playing the best football of his life. But coaches figured out if we sit on these two guys, especially between the hash marks, because Tua likes to throw, or between the numbers rather, Tua likes to throw to the middle of the field, this offense has no answer. And so that's why I would like to see them get Dalvin Cook, because that gives you another way to score, another way to move the ball, another way to get first downs, another red zone option with Tua on the field and without Tua, especially without Tua. So, that run game, I would like to see him get Dalvin Cook, and I would like to see Mike McDaniel grow as a coach. It's not a rip job on Mike McDaniel. He was a rookie head coach and a rookie play caller. He had never called plays before. So I think Mike McDaniel has to grow. To me, that's the number one requirement for this offense. Above Tua playing like 15 games, Mike McDaniel has got to grow as a head coach and not be so one-dimensional and so predictable.
Chris Perkins, outstanding Dolphins columnist for the Sun Sentinel. You can follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K, Chris Perk.
And speaking of Tyreek Hill, I'd like to see him get a few more rushing attempts this year than he did a year ago on that whole rushing thing. But I'm curious, Chris, when you look at the offensive line, I know they're not great. Would you call them above average, Average, below average?
I would call them average with an asterisk because Teron Armstead, the left tackle, is such an injury risk. The last 7 seasons, he's missed an average of 5.5 games per season. And look, you guys know Teron Armstead made the Pro Bowl. I think he's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He is, I don't know, maybe one of the top 5 players on the team, regardless of position. And that offensive line really changes when he's not in the game. From a talent standpoint, communication standpoint, leadership standpoint. So a big key to that offensive line is Teron Armstead staying healthy. Now, you go beyond that, at right tackle, Austin Jackson, the first-round pick from 2020, has to prove that he's up to the job of protecting Tua's blind side. Austin Jackson was injured last year. He only played in 2 games because of ankle injury, so you've got a question mark there. And then at left guard, Liam Eichenberg, second-round pick in 2021, I believe it was, out of Notre Dame. He's got to prove that he's a capable NFL starter. So you really kind of got 3 questions among Armstead's health and the performance of Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. Having said all that, I do think that it's an average offensive line, and you can get the job done. Now, look, overall, and the offensive line plays into this, I think the Dolphins right now, the Jalen Ramsey injury kind of changes things, but I think they're a 10-win team. I think they make the playoffs. I don't know that they're good enough to win a playoff game. Last season, and I tell people this all the time, the Dolphins against playoff teams in games that Tua started and finished, so we're not including the Cincinnati game where he was hospitalized. In games he started and finished, the Dolphins were 2-3 against playoff teams. Overall, 2-6 against playoff teams. So they've got some growth to do there.
Well, no question. And their schedule is harder this year than it was last year, and it was not a picnic last year. Listen, when we were talking about who's going to fill in for Ramsey, we didn't mention Noah Igbayani, the first-round pick from 3-4 years ago. Is this kid just officially a bust? I thought there was a chance with the new defensive coordinator because he was supposed to be the slot corner. And I got to tell you, Chris, this is surprising to me. He was good in college. He could line up against other guys' number 1 receivers, play man-to-man coverage. He was a good corner in college. He has been bad with the Dolphins. Is he just done?
He's on that border. I don't want to bring up the B word with him yet, but I call him a disappointment. But man, this kid he's got to do something. You're exactly 100% right. He has been a big disappointment. He did have the game-winning interception against Pittsburgh last year in the end zone, but that's it. I mean, that's all he did. With all those cornerback injuries, secondary injuries that I mentioned last year, specifically Nick Needham and Xavier Howard, Noah Igbenogany still could not consistently get on the field. So that's a big issue. And I'll go a step further. If you look at that 2020 draft, when the first round picks were Tua, Austin Jackson, and Noah Igbenogany, Noah has been a disappointment. Austin Jackson is a big question mark, and you might be able to make the argument in a couple of years that they should have taken Justin Herbert instead of Tua. So you could be looking at a 2020 draft where the Dolphins missed on all 3 first-round picks. So that's kind of what's hanging in the balance in the background. They need Noah to show something, and they need Austin Jackson to come through just for the sake of being able to say we had 3 first-round picks and at least we made something of that. Otherwise, it's not looking good for Chris Greer, the general manager.
Chris Perkins, the Sun Sentinel. All right. He writes about the Dolphins for a living. It's a good gig if you can get it, but you got to be really good to get it. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K, Chris Perk. All right. Since the Dolphins don't adhere to the karma thing, we'll revise our picks. Okay. Thank you. Chris Perkins, kind enough to be with us. We'll check in again late in training camp with Chris, who's always been good to us over the years.
He's a glass half full, but very realistic beat writer.
Which is why we like him. He's willing to, say, rooting for the guy, but he's not getting it done. Okay. So, listen, he's being kind saying that Jackson is a question mark. Also, I'd put Jackson, that tackle, as closer to a disappointment than a question mark, unfortunately. And listen, it's not like they haven't spent time and money on the offensive line. They just so far have missed on the guys they drafted. It's plain and simple. I mean, they've spent first and second round picks, like 5 of them. Absolutely. On the offensive line in the last 4 years.
Pick. Jackson's a first-round pick. Eichenberg's a second-round pick. Absolutely, David.
Yeah, and they spent all the money on Armstead, but like Chris points out, he misses 5 games a year. So we'll find out about Ramsey when they go in to see how bad the left meniscus is. If it can be kind of repaired and it's not fully torn, it's a 6 to 8 week deal. If it's fully torn, those in the medical community say that's a 4-month deal. Kind of a big difference.
I'm just curious. Do you think that's the difference between them making or missing the playoffs?
No. No, I don't. There's no doubt it will change how aggressive they can be defensively. I mean, listen, they had the best cornerback combo. I'd even be willing to a healthy Howard with Ramsey. I would even be willing to put that ahead of Slay and Bradbury with the Eagles. I really would. I thought they had the best corner tandem in the league before yesterday afternoon. And if you have 2 number 1 corners, 2 man-to-man, I don't know about shutdown, but I mean, 2 of the 20 best corners in the league. You got them on the same defense, you can be aggressive on defense. You're not going to be able to be as aggressive without Jalen Ramsey.
If it's the 6 to 8 weeks, it's not a problem. If it's all the way to December, David, it's a problem in a loaded AFC. It really is.
Yeah, it's true. They do face a few good quarterbacks. That's just 2 of them in the division.
It is monumental to me, the difference this is of what they find out on Jalen Ramsey. I think it's the difference between making the playoffs and missing the playoffs, because that's how close the AFC is.
Well, I will agree with you on that in terms of how close the AFC is, that the difference, we're going to look back and close games. And I mean, hell, we saw USA Today's predictions. They've got 10 teams winning 10 or more games. So that means 3 teams winning 10 or more games are going to miss the playoffs. That's loaded.
Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Venice have a spectacular weekend. For those of you in the 239, the bonus hour is next, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Yeah, hi.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hell are you eating now? Doesn't stop.
Pretzel chips.
Every hour.
Come on, I haven't eaten since the 6 o'clock hour.
It's a blatant lie.
I haven't.
Oh, bananas don't count?
I had the one banana and the breakfast bar in the 6 o'clock hour. I haven't eaten since.
"19 days into a shape up, and he's over there just pretzel chipping me." Well, Mello, that's where all shows should be done from. In a perfect world, we do every show from the kitchen.
That'd be awesome.
It's where all the conversations start anyhow. It's where everybody ends up.
Ten seconds.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour, Miller and Moulton, final Friday of July. Thanks so much for being with us. Magic numbers 29, 34, and 41. Make sure you go to floridasportsnetwork.com, sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit. It's 2 weeks from Tuesday, the 15th of August. Dr. Roto and all the wisdom that comes with him. You want to win your fantasy league? You want to finish at the top? You want to make some money? I mean, that's all we're trying to do for you. And we ain't making any money on this. Trust us. Okay, this is for you. Fantasy Football Summit, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dr. Roto, one of the best in the business. We bring him to you 2 weeks from Tuesday, the 15th of August. Did you see the media rights deal that was announced this morning? Now, it's not a major property or anything, but...
Oh, the Xfinity series you're talking about.
Yeah, from the CW.
Right.
Now, all right, not to get too inside baseball here, but you know, racing does really well for Fox, and it does really well for FS1. They get far and away their best ratings, year in, year out, nightly even, racing. Their 6 o'clock talking head show from 6 to 7, okay, does really well on FS1. It outrates all the talking head stuff they have during the day, by far. And FS1 does trucks on Fridays, Xfinity on Saturdays, that type of deal. Well, now the Saturday race just got taken away. And CW spending $115 million a year for the Xfinity series.
You could have got the Pac-12 for that.
Well, remember what was the joke 2+ months ago? Who was the Pac-12 reportedly negotiating their big money deal with? The CW. Listen, NBC, obviously a legitimate network. It's got, meat on the bone. They're making a renewed commitment to sports and media rights to sports, and they are moving more and more sports to USA Network. They're turning that into their cable sports channel, along with Peacock. Well, now here's the CW. What have we talked about in recent years? Yeah, these dramas and comedies on TV, they ain't rating, and they can't sell them.
And that's the big one. They can't sell them.
And now we got a strike, so who knows when we're going to get original programming again. Except for Mark, what's original every night? A game. Sports. And it's the only thing apparently these networks can sell. Because you can show an advertiser. Well, listen, this is probably the audience we're going to get. And this is the demo we're going to get.
And the audience does what? Sticks around. They
Why?
don't leave during commercial breaks because it's live sports.
Right. You have to watch the commercials in theory. Why? Because it's a live sporting event. It's not a tape drama or comedy. How many people watch a game on tape?
And I know there are some of you out there who do. I get it. And I know some of you rewatch the games. But unless you're a diehard that's working second shift, I laugh at my golf friends who during the British Open were upset on Friday when last Friday I played golf. And they're all upset because we're talking about what's going on. I've taped it. I don't give a damn that you taped it. I'm not going to quit talking about what's going on right now.
Let me ask you this. Let's just say, for sake of argument, the CW is the best the Pac-12 can do. But they're willing to pay the same or better than what Fox and ESPN are paying to those that are in the Big 12, which beginning soon here is $31.7 million. So do the math. 30 times 12 is, let's just assume they've got 12 schools. Next year, they'll have 9. But let's just say they only add one more. I mean, I don't know who that would be. Would it be San Diego State? Remember, San Diego State kind of sort of just committed to staying in the Mountain West for 2 more years. Otherwise, they got to pay a lot more money to get out. And the deadline's pretty much come and gone to get out for next year. So San Diego State, I don't know that they can leave for 2025. Never mind 2024. But let's just do 12 and let's just do the math. 32 times 10 is 320. Okay, 2 times 12 is 24. So CW would have to pony up $344 million a year to match what the Big 12 is handing out to their membership. $344 million. They just wrote a check for half that or a third of that for the Xfinity Series. I got to think they'd be willing to double that for the Pac-12, right? Don't you think they'd at least get to $20 million at school? At which point, if you're the Pac-12, you can't find a streaming service? You can't find somewhere? I need $100 million bucks. You can't go to Amazon or, I can't find $100 million a year from a streaming service? And is that enough, Mark? If you're Oregon, Washington, let's just say they can come up with more. But the media package is CW and a well-known streaming service. Let's just say it's Amazon. CW, Amazon. I can get you 35 to 40 million a year more than the Big 12. But on the Big 12, you're on Fox and ESPN. Or in their cable channels.
David, I don't know what choice the Pac-12 would have at this point. It's either that or the possibility that your league goes under. And I still would bet my money on the league going under right now.
Well, but yeah, okay. The school that you think should be a giant and isn't, Arizona State. You're running the show at Arizona State. This guy from the Pac-12 who's had a year and has come up with nothing, and let's just say he's able to in the next 72 hours come up with the deal we've talked about. It's actually $5 million more a year than what you would get if you went to the Big 12. But it's CW and Amazon, as opposed to Fox and ESPN.
Look,
for $5 million less.
If I'm Arizona State, I really want the Pac-10, 12 to stay together. Why? You win the conference, it's an automatic berth into the college football playoff.
Pretty much. I mean, the playoff format that's been pitched is top 6 conference champions go. You got to think the Pac-12, at least 9 out of 10 years, if not 10 out of 10 years, would fall within the top 6.
So I would be hoping to stay and dominate. USC's gone. Oregon could very well be gone. What are you fighting against? San Diego State? Arizona? I mean, I know Utah's put together a good program, but come on here.
Well, also what we've talked about, I mean, if the 2 Southern California schools are leaving, then, Los Angeles is in play for the Arizona schools to really make inroads in recruiting. I mean, when Herm Edwards had a couple of good teams, he did it by Antonio Pierce and his Southern California recruiting connections. Mark, you make a dadgum good point, as we like to say, that you could even argue if you're pitching the Pac-12 and you look at the membership and go, listen, even if we come in 2 million less, I can only get 30 million a year. And if you go to the Big 12, you get 32. Which conference do you think you have a better chance of winning? And remember, you win the conference, you're in the playoff. And you look right at the 2 Arizonas and Utah and go, you want to go to the Big 12 and win that conference, or you want to stay here and win this one? All you have to do is be in the top 6, which is basically be a top 20 team, certainly top 15. If you're in the top 15, you'll be in the playoff as a conference champion. You look right at them. You can't be better than the Mountain West champion, the Sun Belt champion, the Conference USA champion. By the way, you don't have to be better than all of them. Just have to be better than 2 of them.
So there is an opportunity in the Pac-12. The problem is I don't know if they can get a media rights deal done. that would be attractive enough to keep the schools. And to think it wasn't that long ago, David, that it was the Pac-12 that was going to raid the Big 12. It wasn't going to be the Big 12 raiding the Pac-12. It was the other way around.
Well, if we want to do revisionist history, there were some tweets and stories that were reprinted yesterday from September of 2011, in which there was one report that the Pac-12 turned down Texas and Oklahoma. That with what Texas and Oklahoma were asking for, and Texas and Oklahoma said, you give us this, we're coming. And that Larry Scott went, nah, nope, sorry, can't give you that. I mean,
and now no USC, no UCLA. Obviously, Texas and Oklahoma are heading to the SEC. Colorado's left. Arizona State, and Utah are on the brink of leaving. And Oregon and Washington would leave in a nanosecond if the Big Ten would offer the invitation.
And you have to wonder, because the report is that the Big 12 basically pressured Colorado, said, we need to know now. And so Colorado went, okay, we're coming. I mean, who's to say the Big 12 doesn't do that to these other Pac-12 schools? I mean, clearly their commissioner's got a plan. I mean, clearly he's got a plan and a rhyme and a reason. He knows exactly what he wants to do. And if he gets more Pac-12 schools to come, great. And if not, he'll go find a 14th member in amongst the group of 5. By the way, if you're South Florida, is there any way for you to start lobbying here? I mean, the talk is UConn or Memphis or San Diego State. I mean, I'm sure it's too late in the game, but
it's too late in the game. Not that UCF has a vote, but that ship sailed, David.
I understand, but conference is expanding and all. Just saying. Just where you need some money.
And a lot of it.
Yeah. Need to be able to come with some money in a bag. Maybe even a suitcase.
Or at a PIF fund.
There is always that. So Xfinity Racing and LIV Golf. That's what the CW's got right now. Yep. Trying to build a sports network from scratch.
And maybe they'll go after the Pac-12. Who knows? Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. 25 minutes away on the Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey.
Oh, that is true. We forgot about the 50 football and basketball games a year.
Have you had any luck with Phil Steele yet?
Yeah, he's coming on late August.
Awesome.
The week of the 21st, literally the week leading into week 0.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yep.
My daughter was funny a couple days ago. She's got so much candy in the pantry that she's about out now finally from Easter's and Halloween's. And she just said, I'm about out of candy. Halloween can't get here soon enough. And then she had this long pause and went, Dad, what am I going to be for Halloween? As if it was the end of the world in July. I laughed my ass off.
What's your proudest Halloween costume?
Me?
Yeah.
When I was Ace Frehley from Kiss.
Nice.
Full makeup.
Damn.
2nd, 3rd grade.
Crazy.
It's not mine, but it was one that was purchased by me. My daughter's toilet bowl. She wanted it as a toilet bowl for a few years. We kept it for a long time, too. You lifted up the lid to the toilet, and that's where people put the candy in, and you closed it.
That is magnificent.
Yeah,
Did you buy that or make that?
No, bought. That was purchased.
I doubt it, Go Raiders, but I'm sure he knows who the band Kiss is. Maybe not. Do you know who the band Kiss is, Felipe?
I do.
Okay.
Of course. Come on now.
Hey,
you know the hustle. That shocked me. I would have lost all my money on that one.
Again, my grandma loves that song.
I understand. I
even from this country.
Didn't take it into consideration. Didn't realize how much the hustle was being played around the house.
Didn't know the hustle was big in Cuba.
Well, you know, she's an immigrant, so came down here.
I know. I'm just having a little fun.
I dressed up as an e-cigarette one time.
Plus, you know, we don't know what was played on the turntable growing up in the household.
My dad loves 90s music and love songs. And then my mom she grew up loving Michael Jackson. She went to like 3 Michael Jackson concerts, I think.
I only saw him at the Super Bowl.
And he delivered. You saw him in his prime. Kind of. His prime.
Yeah, it's funny. Mark and I would argue that it was the decade earlier, but
he was still.
I saw him in January '93.
That's a pretty good era of MJ.
That's like at the end of it, very end of his prime.
Right. That's the Last Dance MJ right there. Michael Jordan, that is. Here we go.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour on this final Friday of July. Telling you, the year's going by faster this year, it seems. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. I will say, Mark, we were just talking about the CW. We forgot that they've got 50 ACC football and basketball games too. So they got Saturday night racing. It's not the big boy NASCAR. It's the minor league NASCAR. They got the 50 ACC football and basketball games that were being relegated to regional Valley sports. And now, LIV golf. That's what
for as long as they play it.
Right. Hey, they just had a big event in New York City last night with sponsors and what have you. I'm telling you, I know Jay Monahan's like, this sucker's going away. I don't know. They're signing sponsors every week. Follow the money.
And the players from the LIV have not been rushing to the microphone saying, you know what we really have to do is get back to the PGA Tour.
In fact, you can't find one. Not a one. That
Was it
is
Gooch
excited.
that said I wanted to, I missed playing in the New Orleans tournament with my buddy?
Yeah, that's it. Right. He misses one event playing with his best friend in the team golf competition. Yep. But there's not one of those guys. And let me tell you, you ain't going to get their caddies that are going to say, let's go back to the PGA Tour. Hell, the caddies are treated like PGA Tour pros on the LIV Tour. Those guys are loving life.
Well, at least they're treated like they're part of the team for the first time in their careers.
But, I mean, they're allowed to go to the parties.
Right.
It's not just
they're
players
allowed to go
only.
in the locker room.
Yeah. So that would be something, if you're going to, obviously they're going to adopt some things from the LIV. How about if you lighten up a little bit? I'm not saying you got to wear shorts. I'm not saying we need shotgun starts and live music and what have you. How about you treat the caddies like, I don't know, they're people. Think we could do that next time around? Just a thought. How about this? How about you let the caddies have their own endorsement deals so they can make a little side money?
Caddies do all right in today's world. This isn't the 70s and 80s. I don't know if I need every caddy to be a walking billboard next to the player that they're representing.
But I don't even know if they're allowed to wear a sponsor's hat because they have to wear the event's bib, listing the tournament and then whatever the main sponsor of the tournament is. So I'm not saying to advocate that they don't have to wear the bib so that they're a billboard for the PGA event they're caddying in. I'm just saying, can't they, I don't know, eyeglass, sunglasses, a hat, just something. It's a NASCAR fan in me, Mark. Come on, there's marketing potential here.
Okay, and I know it's very different, but to spin your NASCAR thing, that would be like the tire changers wearing a different hat than the driver.
Well, I mean, if he's driving a Ford, you can't have a Chevy hat. I mean, there's certain to be on the team. The pro golfer is not going to say, "Listen, I'm a Nike guy. You can't be an Under Armour guy." But I mean, how about if while I'm negotiating this deal, I can get you a little something, something?
That's fine. It would be for the caddy, though, not for the guy, because I can fire the caddy and then your deal's done. I mean,
right. No, the deal only exists for as long as you're carrying my bag. So it's a week-to-week deal, which is a caddy is how it is. Hell, it can be round to round, depending on the golfer. But hey, remember that FGCU golfer Kappas? There?
Yeah, he's been playing pretty well on the Korn Ferry Tour.
Well, he shot 3 under yesterday on the PGA Tour because that event's in Minnesota. And he got in it. And I don't know if he got in it because he qualified. I think he got in it because of his status on the Korn Ferry Tour. He's top 30 on the money list. And he shot 68 in the first round of that yesterday. So that'd be cool for him. Make a cut on the PGA Tour, get a nice check.
Absolutely.
I mean, the leader's 8 under and all, but still, you throw 468s on the board, probably get you 20, 30 grand. It's not a bad week.
Probably get you a little more than that even.
Okay.
You get to 12 under in that tournament.
Okay, there you go. How about a little 50, 60 grand?
That sounds a little more accurate for 12 under in that tournament.
It's an even better week. All right. Tell you what, if he does that, we'll bring him back on the show.
It works for me.
I've been texting him. He's been doing really well on the Corn Ferry and been staying in touch with him. So we'll bring him back.
Do you ever have anybody that you try to stay in touch with respond with who is this?
No, but I have had a few people just ghost me. Just they're like, no, I'm not responding to them anymore.
I've actually written text because, David and I from doing the show, and for the longest time when we were in Act 2 and I was doing the show, we were doing the show from my studio at my house. I was using my phone to call all the guests. My phone is loaded with some pretty important phone numbers. And every once in a while, not so much with the important people because I wouldn't bother them, but with the middle of the road people, I've thought about texting, congratulatory text or asking a question. And the fear of getting ghosted, I've written the text and said, nah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not going to bother them. They don't want to hear from me.
I texted David Sampson late last night. I said, I don't know where you are or what time this is where you are, but we're thinking our 9-year, $500 million offer may not be enough. ? And he responded whenever he responded. I woke up to it this morning and he said, might not be. I got to give him credit. He said the middle of March. He said it on our show. He said it on his show. He said there is no way Ohtani's getting traded. It ain't happening. If you're an owner, you can't do it. Can't do it. Might as well get rid of the franchise. And he goes, I know he's trying to sell, but I'm telling you, you can't. He said it in mid-March. He goes, I don't care how the season goes. I don't care if they start out and they're 15 games below 500. He said, you cannot trade him.
And now they're trying to improve their ball club, picking up the pitcher yesterday from Chicago, see if they make a couple other moves. They're on a roll. It helps playing bad teams, but they're beating them.
They're 3 back of the 6 seed. 3 back of the Blue Jays.
And Trout's how many weeks before he should be able to come back?
He'll be back in like 2 weeks.
Right.
Cubs are 4 back. Marlins are acquiring players from the Mets. Honestly, this is like dogs, cats. This is like Auburn, Alabama coming together to promote something. This is just strange times. There's Ohio State wearing blue.
By the way, they're at least talking about the subject of moving the date of the Ohio State-Michigan game.
I know. That's not a good idea.
It's a terrible idea.
And I know, because then you play, and in theory, they could play again next week in the conference championship game. I know. Hey, listen, it is something that if you're the SEC, Thanksgiving weekend's a big rivalry weekend. Now, it's much more realistic to happen in the Big Ten with Ohio State, Michigan, which potentially even, hear me out, USC, UCLA. I mean, where you can imagine a scenario where they actually then have to play the next week for the conference title. But there would have been years recently, after the kick 6, I think Auburn and Alabama would have had to play the next week in Atlanta.
Here's the thing. Who wouldn't want that? Unless you just get a flat-out blowout. Who wouldn't want a rematch between the best 2 teams in college football or 2 best teams in the conference? To me, it's a no-brainer. Leave the game where it is. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Schuler's Joe Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What is Immaculate Grid? I have no idea what you're talking about, Matt.
So it's this thing where it's I think it's a 3x3 grid where you get 3 players on the x-axis at the top, and then on the y-axis you get 2 teams that all 3 of those teams like once played on. It's like a guessing game pretty much, and then a stat that they all have in common. I don't know. It's a new Twitter thing, really.
No.
It's a baseball. Okay, I see.
Or it's a yeah. There's ones for different sports,
Yeah.
but the main one is baseball. Like for example, right here.
Yeah, I see it. I've got it up.
Okay.
I
Who played for the Tigers and the Pirates?
could see that being up David's alley, Matt. It's not up mine. I was a little disappointed in the new Tyler Childers song that was released yesterday. That's what I was up to yesterday. Didn't do it for me. Better than the gospel or semi-gospel he did with his last album, but
Who's the greatest pitcher in Colorado Rockies history?
is that a trick question?
It's just one of the answers. 200K pitching season with the Rockies.
Shit.
I don't think it's that.
Mike Hampton's first year was really good with them. Oh, who's the guy who started? Was it Jimenez? Started like 16-1 for them the one year.
Ubaldo?
I think that's it.
Yeah, it was Ubaldo. I remember Ubaldo Jimenez.
Oh, can't it Troy Tulowitzki?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the hour is up 16 until we're out of here. Our final moments in the bonus hour. Hope you've had a good week. Thanks for spending part of it with us on Miller and Moulton. Make sure you go to floridasportsnetwork.com because it's a first serve deal. Once we get 50 people to sign up, the event is very likely closed. To the Fantasy Football Summit, floridasportsnetwork.com. It will very likely sell out. It has sold out the previous 2 times we've done it. Some people who really wanted in last year got left out. floridasportsnetwork.com. 2 weeks from Tuesday, the 15th of August, Shoeless Joe's, Bell Tower Shops, Crown Plaza, Fort Myers. Sign up. Make your plans accordingly. Dr. Roto and all that he has to offer, and that's a lot when it concerns fantasy football.
And it's brought to you by the law office of Michael F. Hornon, by the way. Gotta love the Bengals, David. They sent out a tweet 4 minutes ago that says the following. Everyone, please stop calling and offering us your calf muscles. It doesn't work like that. Joey will be back. That is spectacular. Absolutely spectacular.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
I have virtually nothing today, David. I feel like I'm missing things. You gave me one, so when I say what did I miss, I expect you to go on for a while. But 1868 is where we start. The 14th Amendment ratified by state granting citizenships to ex-slaves.
It's kind of a biggie.
Kind of
a biggie. Right. Also granted citizenship to anybody who's born or naturalized in this country, which is an issue that's come up 155 years later.
1896, the city of Miami is incorporated. So happy birthday, Miami.
So what, 127? Is that what they are?
Not to be confused with Miami, Ohio, of course.
1900. Lewis Lassing in Connecticut creates the hamburger.
That's a big deal.
And how today is not National Hamburger Day is beyond me. It's in May.
What?
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Today in 1929, the Chicago Cardinals become the first NFL team to train out of state. They would go to Michigan for their training camp. 1954, On the Waterfront. The Brando movie is released. Best Picture in 55. Today in 1973, the Summer Jam was held at Watkins Glen, New York. the largest ever audience at a pop festival. 600,000 people attend. You would see the Grateful Dead, the band, and the Allman Brothers all on the bill.
Watkins Glen is beautiful. All right. Rolling countryside. It is beautiful. The Finger Lakes are not far away.
Today in 78, two things happened. At the Old Timers game, the Yankees announced that Billy Martin will return as manager.
Like 2 weeks after he resigned in disgrace.
And Animal House was released.
0.00.
It was today in 92 that Mary J. Blige released her debut album, What's the 411? And 24 years ago today, Barry Sanders abruptly announces he's retiring from the National Football League.
It was either that or continue to play for the Lions. And he said, the hell with that. What was really noteworthy was that he was on pace to break Walter Payton's all-time record at the end of that season.
You know, I don't know a Lion fan that has a grudge against Barry Sanders for abruptly retiring. Not a one.
Well, the Lions held a grudge.
The Lions did, but their fans, I'm sure there are some that I'm sure they'll hit me up on the text line or in the Twitch chat room. And I know a lot of Lions fans. I don't remember them. I remember being bummed, but not like that brat bastard bummed.
Well, let me ask a question. When Calvin Johnson did the same thing, did they hold it against him?
Not really.
Now, I think Barry Sanders was a better player, but they're both Hall of Famers. I mean, start debating, what wing you should be in. I mean, that's a pretty nice debate to have.
Jackie Kennedy and Vida Blue would have both celebrated birthdays today. Bill Bradley's 80. Doug Collins is 72.
I'm sorry.
I know.
That's still one of the 10 best SportsCenter promos ever. All right. It's Olbermann, it's Patrick, and they're, in theory, auditioning people to do SportsCenter, right?
Right.
Have you ever spoken before a large audience before? And Bill Bradley said, well, I gave the keynote address at the Democratic National Convention once. And Olbermann, with perfect timing, goes, no, we meant a large audience.
Doug Collins is 72. Dana White's 54. Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell is 51. Manu Ginobili is 46. D'Amico Ryans and Zach Parisi are each 39. Harry Kane is 30. And the Corda twins are 25.
Harry Kane! Harry Kane!
Was doing this last night, Felipe, and I forgot to come to you before the show and tell you when I announce Harry Kane's birthday, I will bet everything that I have on this planet that David Moulton is going to go,
Harry Kane! Harry Kane!
You wouldn't have taken the bet, would you?
I would have agreed with you. That's the thing.
It was a dunk.
It was inevitable. It was a
listen,
dunk.
By the way, that means next World Cup, he'll be 33. There will be an unbelievable amount of pressure on him. Kind of like, Harry, this is probably your last World Cup, at least last World Cup at the top of your game.
Yeah, considering
I don't know if, they haven't won since 66. It'll be 60 years. He will be under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, considering the fact that he totally blew it against France in the semifinal when he missed a penalty.
Exactly.
Yeah. He threw.
What'd I miss, David?
Well, I'm not trying to make light. All right. This was not a good situation. But Stalin today in 42 issued an executive order, because let's face it, when you're the dictator, they're all executive orders. All right. It became known as the not one step backward order. Germany had invaded Russia. They were making good progress. Stalin was like, there is to be no retreat whatsoever. Okay. And literally in the order, it says panic makers and cowards must be liquidated on the spot. Panic makers and cowards. So historically, Stalin on this day outlawed cowards. When you're a dictator, you can do things like that.
You're darn right you can. Do whatever you want.
I mean, it's not a laughing matter. I'm not in any way making fun. I'm just saying that, desperate times, desperate measures, people do stupid things. Oh, yeah, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia today in 1914. That's when, the war to end all wars, really took a turn. Like got underway, really.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
What you're saying, David, as far as opening act goes, that was a big one.
Yes. And remember, this was it. We're not having any more wars. We're going to settle this in Central to Eastern Europe, and that's going to be the end of it. U.S. doesn't even have to get involved.
For the good, we go to Montana, where Alyssa Navarro disappeared 4 years ago in Arizona and showed up yesterday, or 2 days ago, rather, in a Montana police office at the age of 18. She was reunited with her mom. Remarkable story.
Staggering. Did you hear? I don't know if you said it because I was just quickly paying attention to something else. She left her parents a note.
Right.
Yeah. Said,
That's
hi, I'm sorry.
away.
Yeah, I'll be back. I promise. 4.5 years.
We go to Australia for the bad.
By the way, do you ground your kid after that or by that point?
She's 18 now, can you?
Hey, as long as you're still financially helping out, you can do anything you want.
There it is. Under my roof, you're going to live by my rules.
Hey, just because your wife and daughter have hijacked your house, okay, don't take it out on me.
Anyhow, for the bad, we go to Australia, where a 51-year-old man was driving his lawnmower down the wrong side of the road at 1 a.m, 4 times over the legal alcohol limit.
Whoa!
He was pulled over, and he told the police that I just thought I'd drive this old girl over to my daughter's to mow her lawn. The officer replied, not at 1 o'clock in the morning and not drunk. He blew a .191 before being arrested. And finally, the ugly, we come back to Florida, where an 11-year-old Port Orange girl was arrested after she falsely reported that her friend was kidnapped by an armed man. She says she got the idea to prank 911 through a YouTube challenge and, I quote, thought it would be funny.
Yikes.
That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, July the 28th, 2023.
Hey, earlier this week, we thought it was maybe the best baseball series on the schedule so far this year, all at the same time. There are 7 series in baseball this weekend of winning teams playing each other. Now, one of them is not the Marlins, who have a real opportunity. They got 3 at home with Detroit before they begin a 4-gamer with the Phillies on Monday. They got to take, advantage here. But listen to these series, Mark. First off, the Rays are in Houston.
Monster series for the Rays.
The Yankees are in Baltimore. The Angels are in Toronto. The Brewers are in Atlanta. Seattle's in Arizona. The Reds are in LA to face the Dodgers. The Red Sox are in San Francisco to face the Giants. I mean, that's some good baseball. That Cubs and Cardinals are playing. They hate each other.
Brewers and Braves, I don't think you mentioned either.
I did mention them.
I'm sorry. I was...
Battle of first place teams. This could be a division series or LCS preview. Braves, by the way, are 4-7 since the All-Star break. They're mailing this sucker in.
Doesn't matter. You can still put the X next to their name.
Oh, yeah, it's still there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we're not taking it away. I mean, please. They could play like the Rays for the rest of the year and still win that division. All right. How much do you think gets done between now and the next time we're on the air? I mean, trade deadline in baseball and all is Tuesday afternoon. I mean, remember the GMs, most of them, there were only 5 games in baseball yesterday. There were only 8 teams in action yesterday. You had 22 GMs who didn't have a game yesterday to distract them. There was a lot of phone calls. I mean, more phone calls between teams in the Big 12 and the Pac-12 and the commissioners or in Major League Baseball yesterday?
Actually, yesterday, I think it was Major League Baseball.
So how much gets done between now and when we're on the air again on Monday?
How many more teams make trades than colleges move conferences by Monday?
Oh, over under what? Because I'm going over for baseball. I don't
5
think
trades by Monday.
Oh, more than colleges? Oh, you put it at 5.5.
5 baseball trades by Monday.
Oh, higher.
10?
I don't know about that, but I mean, 6 is just 2 trades a day. 2 today, 2 tomorrow, 2 Sunday. There'll be 2 trades a day between now and when we do our show on average.
All right, so
absolutely.
7.5 trades.
Man, that's really good.
7.5 trades versus 1.5 teams moving conferences.
Under on the teams because it's a weekend. They'll wait till Monday. Okay. And I am going to go over on the trades. Think about it. Giolito's already been traded. Robertson's already been traded. Okay. These are significant guys. These are one of the 2 best relievers, one of the 2 best starters that we think are going to be on the market have already been traded. So if you're a team and you need to acquire, you need to react sooner than later. I don't know if this deadline mark goes down to 1 or 2 hours before the deadline, if you know what I mean.
Huge advantage for the sellers because the buyers outnumber them 4-1. So you should be able to get a king's ransom for what your players are. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll do this all over again Monday morning right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa